Hi, hello. How is everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. I'll quickly check the chat and see who is there. So let's have a quick look. Hi Jane, hi Gillian, hi Steve, hello there Louise, hi Max, hi there Nubs, nice of you to drop by. Hello there Mark, and if I've forgotten anybody, I apologize for that one. Not having a fantastic computer session on this end, so you'll have to bear with me. Yeah, hey there, hi. Yeah, I am okay, funnily enough, actually, Louise, but thank you for asking. Yeah, I do sound rough. I always sound rough. That's par for the course with me. I hope you're all doing well and willing to listen to this night's shenanigans of strange tales, personal experiences, for want of a better way of putting it. I've been thinking as well about maybe putting the idea out there for people to give me their idea, or rather their choice of what they would like me to talk about. So say, for instance, I put out 3 different topics there, but experiences, say, and let you guys choose which one you want to hear about, if indeed you even do want to hear about it, which, like I say, will be down to you lot. So let's have a look. Hi there, Naz. Nice of you to join. Just seen you in the chat there. Thank you very much indeed. The gentleman in the chat there, going by the channel title, Am I Going Mad Ghost Hunting, is from South Africa. And he will be appearing in the video very soon, talking about some experiences from down that way. So yeah, I think that's a good idea as well, Louise. A vote poll on the Facebook page is probably a good idea. A little bit of a sore throat, Gillian. Yes, just a little bit. Lurgy, possible lurgy, Mags. We will see about that one. we will see about that one. Okay, well, today, or rather tonight, I'm going to be discussing a sighting that I had in 1989. So the fact that I started with 1988 the other week and 1989 this week is probably giving you guys some indication of the fact that this is going to be a long, drawn-out series of things. I'm going over various events over the years, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So there you go. Now, this isn't concerning the very first sighting that I ever had, actually, but one of the stranger ones. When I was, and I can't, if I'm completely honest, remember the exact age that I was at. Had a sighting of lights in the sky on a local golf course, because I used to live opposite a golf course in my hometown, like, as in quite literally across the street. There wasn't another row of houses. It was the start of the golf course, or rather, it was the edge of the golf course. So it was a playground for us. That is where me and my friends would go and hang out, Moved away from there when I was around about 12, just down the road, but away from that golf course. And now I'm currently living in a place in between where I moved to and where I moved from. Okay? Not that that's relevant, but there you go. And this particular thing was just a series of white lights, 3 of them in the distance, moving very slowly. And even at that young, tender age, it was enough to pique my interest and make me think, that looks a little strange. It does look a little strange. Now, I moved, as I said, down the road, which meant moving school. And just because of the catchment area. And, of course, this meant meeting new people, making new friends, and having new areas with which to go and hang out and do things. Of course, as you go through school, you don't always keep the same friends. You meet new people, you move on, your circle of friends changes, but every now and then there's one or two people that tend to stay. They tend to stick around in that group, and you hang out with them. All is well and good. I'll just activate the comments. So of course, this is what happened. You know, new group of friends, left school. There'd been various things happening during that time period, which I'm not going to go into, but left school, but still hung around with a couple of particular friends. Now, one of them, his initial begins with M, and in the last Strange Tales, he was involved in that one, which you better find if you dig and if you care. But it's there for you to find should you want to. Now, we joined the Army Cadets. You know, lots of people do these scouts, the Cubs, and all that kind of thing, and Girl Guides and whatever else should you wish to, you know, let your imagination run wild. But lots of different things that I can entertain youngsters that don't seem to be as popular as they used to be when I was younger, shall we say. But me and my friend joined the Army Cadets, and it was just down the road from us, so not too far to have to go. And it was good for discipline, it was good for everything else, but of course it meant messing about with, you know, ironing uniforms, and at that age we were at, we weren't really into that, because it's fairly boring, isn't it? Who wants to, after all, iron? I'm sure people in the chat and who watch this video can massively relate to that. Who wants to stand around ironing? So that was kind of like a bugbear for it, and we would both moan about it all the time, and this was enough to formulate, you know, hanging around after we'd finished the Army Cadets. Now, so I started to hang around at this guy's house. You know, we would, we'd hang out together. And his mum and dad were fairly cool, to be honest. You know, they were fairly cool people, fairly liberal. They were okay about us hanging around and doing whatever we wanted to all hours in the morning. Now, they would have dogs, and the dogs would have pups on a regular basis. They weren't breeders or anything like that, but they would have pups on a regular basis. And they'd pass these pups on. Yeah, they'd pass these pups to people, which is obviously you do that because you can't keep them all. You're going to have hundreds of dogs. And they kept these in the back. The usual type of scenario would be feed the dogs. It was his responsibility to do that and clean the yard and so on and so forth. There's one particular time where he'd left it particularly late. And he's gone into the back garden. He's gone into the backyard. And I'm stood in the kitchen, which means standing in the kitchen door. And it's raised up by about 4 steps from where the paving stones are in the backyard. Now, behind his house at the time is a valley where there's a country park. And I'm stood on these steps, with my arm resting on the door frame. And he's obviously, like, you know, doing a bit of cleaning up and all the rest of it, and, you know, trying to keep the yard clean, because that's his duty, if you like. And he's busy doing that. Now the light goes out. The yard light goes out, which is positioned above the door, and it goes out because it's on a time. You know, you activate it by moving. If you move, the light goes on and it illuminates the backyard. So it went out. So of course the first thought is that this is just on a timer. You know, it's as soon as he moves again, it's going to come. It didn't. He continued to move around, and it didn't come back on. So we're in darkness, apart from the light behind us, which is in the front room of the house. A little bit of it's going into the kitchen, but not enough of it is making it out into the yard. Now I'm looking out across the valley. Why? I don't know. There's no particular reason why I'm doing that, but I'm looking out across the valley. When to my right, I see a bright red glowing ball. You know, self-luminescent, glowing red ball. And this red ball travels across the valley behind the house where I'm situated, and of course where my friend is situated. Now, as you look at that picture, the green cross is really the exact location of where we were. That's the back garden where we were stood. and of course you can see the valley. Now the red line is indicating the direction with which this traveled, okay, which as I looked out, which would be up towards the top right of the screen, it moved from my right to my left. And this is traveled very, very slowly in almost a complete straight line until it reached across the top of a small reservoir behind the houses, which it then seemed to get smaller. And then after watching it for a few seconds, I realized that it hadn't got smaller. It was moving away slightly at a little bit of an angle towards the estate on the opposite side of the valley. Now, as it did this, as it reached just behind the row of houses on the opposite side of the valley, it started to go up at an incline. Now, which is represented by the blue line that you can see on the screen now. Now, as it started to go up on this incline, it started to get bigger. It started to actually grow as it went along. As it went away, it went slightly bigger. At first, it went smaller, but then it seemed to appear like it was getting a little bigger, which made it even more strange because of perspective. As things move away from you, they tend to get smaller. We all know that. But this moved away in the direction of the houses, at first getting smaller because of perspective, but gradually getting bigger. Now, as it got to where the blue line is there, as a look, and it travels across up into the sky, it actually starts to grow quite exponentially. So I would say that as it started off in the very bottom right of the picture, as you look at it, it was around about the size of, I don't know, say a Mini Cooper. This wasn't a very small object. This was about the size of a Mini Cooper. Now, where you see the blue line and it's starting to go up into the sky, by the time it disappears from my sight, which I'll get into in a minute, it seemed to be about the size of a bus, the size of a double-decker bus, this thing, but obviously it's spherical. Now, it also increased in speed as it did this. So, yeah, it obviously goes without saying that this is enough to make you want to scratch your head. Now, this will be a view, which I'm going to show you now, from the actual street where the house is, and we're behind the houses, obviously, in the backyard. And that's sort of a rough representation of it moving from right to left. And as it hits the blue line there, you can see that it shoots off up into the sky and gets bigger. It changes in size as well as speed as it moves out of sight, out of my view. Now it moves out of view because of it goes off at a strange kind of angle. You've got the houses as you look at the screen there. If you imagine that block of 4 houses, and say for instance we're in the one with the red door. Okay, say for instance we're in the one with the red door there. Then the house to the left, that the actual brickwork of that building, because I'm stood, remember, the actual brickwork of the side of the house there starts to obscure my view as it disappears off into the sky. So that's the reason I lost sight of this object. Now, I'll give you a view from the side of the valley for the flight. It, like I said, it accelerated very quickly, disappeared into the sky. That's sort of like the view from the opposite end. If you was looking across the valley, and there you go, that the houses that you see in the distance is the estate where this occurred, or rather where I viewed it from. And of course, when it gets to the blue line, off up into the sky, or like I say, the side of the building obscured it from view. So I didn't actually see where it ended up going to, what happened after that. It just completely disappeared out of my sight, and that was it for me. Didn't see anything else. During this happening, I had actually turned around to I'll call him M. I said, yeah, look. Now, I don't know whether he had slow synapses or slow, I don't know, or is he just neurologically he wasn't working as well as he should have done on that particular day. But he was that slow in turning around that he didn't see it. Okay, he just didn't see it at all. Think about it afterwards has become a complete moot point because he didn't see anything. Although he was there on the day, he didn't see anything whatsoever. But of course, with me seeing it and having that experience, obviously I've also looked into different UFO sightings around the world, which is the people who channel are well aware of that fact, and people who come on the channel are aware of that fact. But I am very interested in ufology, history of ufology and UFO sightings around the world, because it's an interesting topic, as we all know. So, I'd done a little bit of research, a little bit of looking around, and of course, I already had an interest in ufology anyway. And like I said, this wasn't the first time I'd seen something, and indeed the last time that I've seen something in the sky. Now, we all know that if you have any kind of event, if you witness any kind of strange phenomena, then you need to try and rationalize it and try to debunk it and come up with prosaic explanations as to why you had that experience, or what you might have saw and what you might have experienced, what happened. And I've done exactly that myself for obvious reasons, because trying to find out what it might have been, what it could have been, what it should have been. Now, the thing is there's a limited amount of things that it could be. Due to its altitude, due to its speed, its shape and the way that it acted, this wasn't a helicopter. Obviously, due to altitude and all the same reasons that I just gave a moment ago, this wasn't an aeroplane. But it was an aerial object of some description that, say, traversed across the sky, then ascended at a rapid rate and disappeared out of view. So, you look at other explanations: weather phenomena, drones, flares, that kind of thing. So, of course, that is where I started to look at what it could have been. And it'd give you a visual sort of idea about what the kind of thing that I sort of saw. Of course, these aren't photos of the actual event. These are photos of similar things that are on the internet. So, I'll give you an idea about the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Just a self-luminescent, bright red glowing ball that you can see there, flying across the sky, going across the valley, as I say. That started off the size of a mini metro and ended up about the size of a double-decker bus. It grew exponentially in size, this thing. So that's sort of like a visual representation of the thing that I was looking at in the valley. Yeah, bright red, self-luminescent, glowing ball. Okay, I'll put up another idea. I think you're obviously getting the idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, but this kind of thing, no other lights on it to suggest that it's an aircraft or anything like that. I say no port or starboard light, no anti-collision lights, no no headlights, no beams, if you like, nothing like that. Just a red, self-luminescent, glowing ball that drifted across the valley and lasted for a short amount of time until it disappeared. Okay. So I thought, right, well, obviously, as time's gone, I thought, right, I'm going to put certain theories to the test, or rather not theories, but try and explain what might have happened. And see if I can come up with a rational explanation as to what went on. Because that is what we do, isn't it? And I thought, well, the main ones I'll put through the ringer. I'm not going to go into all of them, but the main ones that people would attribute to being responsible for what I saw, let's go through them. Okay. And the first one, and I saw it come up in chat, is ball lightning. Okay. Ball lightning. Now, the thing is as you can see there, a rough rundown. I know you can all read that, but let's go through it anyway. Is ball lightning appears as glowing orbs that seem to occur during thunderstorms, usually following a lightning strike. Okay, well, we straight away, no lightning, completely clear night, no thunderstorm, middle of summer. Okay, Now it says these floating fireballs shine as brightly as a 100-watt light bulb, can be white, yellow, orange, red, or blue in colour, and are typically about the size of a small grapefruit. Although sightings suggest they can range in size from golf ball to beach ball. Okay, again, now, the size of the object that I seen was many times larger than this, and grew to be even bigger, so much, much larger. The amount of light that it was giving off suggested that it was a lot brighter than a 100-watt light bulb. The only similarity listed there is the fact that ball lightning can be white, yellow, orange, red, or blue in colour. So the red thing is the only sort of thing that makes it similar. Every other parameter, no. Emanating from the fireball are little tendrils that seem to jerk the ball around as if it's under the power of a spastic puppeteer. They move slowly and erratically and are followed by smoke trails that form spirals around them, and after a moment they disappear. Now, this sighting was quite a few seconds long, and it didn't move erratically. It sort of, I watched it glide across the valley in a straight line, then go away again in a straight line, no erratic movements, no jolting about, no jumping up and down, and then up at a diagonal angle as it accelerated away. And of course, that would be difficult to see due to the fact that it was night time, but I could make out no smoke with what I was looking at. We can see there's always there about the ball lightning, St. Elmo's fire, silicon vapor, so on and so forth. But that's something that had gone through my head. Is ball lightning? Obviously, that's going to be one that you've got to put forward. Question it: is ball lightning responsible for it? Given what we're looking at there, I would say no. Okay. Now the weather, again, going because of the ball lightning thing and the storms and so on, it was July. Now this is July. These are the weather records for that year. For that year. Okay, so this is the July 1989. Okay, and there we go. Total rain just 37 millimeters. That was the highest, I beg your pardon, and the monthly lowest is what? Hours of sunshine 275. July, very warm, sunny, and rather dry. Now this was later in the month, and it was a hot month. Yeah. Rainy. I sort of remember that because we were camping. We'd been camping out earlier in the month, and I remember this was just a week or two afterwards. So July 1989. This is for Manchester, which is obviously where I live. Weather conditions. It was completely dry. It was a hot month. It was a good month, not any record-setting month, but it was a hot month with the mean temperature being 20.3 centigrade. The highest was 34, so you was rocking. So there were no thunderstorms on the week where that sighting occurred. Nothing like that. It was. It wasn't ball lightning, or at least I'm very, very reticent to accept the fact that it was ball lightning that I witnessed on that night. Okay, so let's say, for instance, we'll do away with the ball lightning. You know, it's let's count out ball lightning for now. Now let's go to drones. Now, of course, drones in a hobby sense were pretty much non-existent. People were flying radio-controlled aircraft, you know, planes, balsa wood planes, and so on and so forth, and some radio-controlled helicopters. The ability to do that at night was very much limited. The acceleration properties of the object that I witnessed meant that that was probably pretty much going to be ruled out no matter what. But we will go through the options for drones. Now, there wasn't a great deal of drones knocking about anyway, and given my location where I live, the possibility of the military, or even the American military, wanting to fly a drone over my area is even more remote, but we'll go through it. Okay, so one of there's two main drones for that era. The first one that we'll deal with is going to be one called the Sprite. Okay, so let's put a picture up of the Sprite. And there's the Sprite. Okay, and the Sprite is active from 1988 to 1998 by ML Aviation. which is a British aviation company for the Sprite Surveillance Patrol. Now, this was designated for electronic warfare. Its top speed was 100 miles an hour. Its max ceiling was 900 feet. And it used two 6-brake horsepower Piper 282 cycle engines. It was quiet, but not. Now, it needs to be said that this object that I said made no noise whatsoever. It didn't make any noise at all, completely silent. And it could operate for around 2.5 hours when it was fully fueled. But it couldn't massively change direction quickly. It didn't have that capability. The speed was also outside of the remit of the Sprite, given the acceleration properties of the object that I witnessed. The Sprite doesn't also change in size. The Sprite does not also, even with the rotors that you can see in the picture there, suddenly change in size also, even if the light starts to reflect off the Sprite, off the rotors that you might not have seen previously, it still isn't going to grow to the size of a double-decker bus. So there you go, that's the Sprite. But of course, it's not the only drone that was around. There are others, not too many, but the other main one, which I'm going to put up, there you go, the BAE Phoenix. Okay, now this was active from roughly 1986 to 2008. And there could have been US ones in operation because there's a lot of US bases around, or were at that time, in the UK. But let's go over the stats of the BAE Systems Phoenix. Now, this has a top speed of 104 miles an hour. Its max ceiling height was 9,000 feet. And it used a 25 horsepower Westlake Aero engine. And it was quiet, again, but not silent. Now, this could fly for 5 hours when fully fueled, and was used mainly in Iraq, and was tested and based in Gloucester, Salisbury, and Ireland. So used mainly in Iraq. As no doubt that's not going to come as a massive surprise to you. But that's a picture of the BAE Phoenix. Again, you get a good idea of the size of that as you look at it in relationship to the building behind it. Any lights on that are obviously going to be small lights mounted onto the wings or the actual fuselage that are not going to give it the appearance of growing into the size of a double-decker bus and accelerating massively rapidly at a diagonal angle straight into the sky. Also, the likelihood of it being flown behind houses near my local estate is also highly unlikely. But that's the other drone, is the BAE Systems Phoenix. Okay. Another thing about the drones, let's bring this up. I'll leave it up for a second or two so you can read it if you wish, but this sort of information, okay, there you go. You got the Amber UAV, one of the Predator drones type, and the Pioneer drones that they were using in the first Gulf War up at the top left there. Yeah. So they're flying those type of things for obviously the type of missions that everybody's already too au fait with during the Gulf Wars. I'll leave it up for a second actually, so you can have a little bit of a look of it should you need to. I've looked into this. In 1993, the Pentagon wanted to rapidly field a surveillance drone to support people. You need to bear in mind the time frame, the availability of these, the places that they would test these out, even if they were in the skies on that night, would be, they're more likely to be in certain areas. If this is the type of technology that at that time they were trying to keep secret, or should I say not as well known, yeah, they're not likely really to be flying it behind my house, or rather behind my friend's house just down the road from me. And like I say, the way that it acted pretty much rules out the fact that it was a drone, really. So there you go. Another thing is let's go with flares. So okay, so is it a flare? Now the thing about a flare is they don't fly around. Flares don't fly around. You know this, I know this, we all know this. So we'll quickly put up a description of the flares that were going around at the time. A parachute flare that might be used in the military. The L5. I remember these. The L5, which I'm going to put up now. Okay. So there's the L5. Illuminated battlefields at night. 38mm parachute flare. We used to call them schmoolies or looms. It's a one-shot device, plastic tube, screw-on caps, as you can see there, fired at an angle of 45 to 90 degrees, and produces a light equivalent to 8,000 candles that burns for 30 seconds at a height of approximately 300 meters. So it won't rise above the height of 300 meters by much, and it doesn't travel laterally across the sky. It doesn't change size, and also, of course, it doesn't accelerate and disappear up into the sky. So I just put up a quick picture of a flare. Say these are orange flares, not red, but they give you the same kind of idea for a frame of reference on size. There you go. So the kind of way that you're going to see a flare, it even illuminates its own smoke trail as it comes down on the parachute, as you can see in that picture. The red ball to the top right, the green smaller ball to the bottom left a bit is obviously just lens flare. But you can see the main schmoolie flares or the loom flares. I think this is taken abroad. So these aren't L5s, but there's the same kind of thing. And you can see the way that flares act. They don't traverse across the sky. They're fired into the sky. They burst open, obviously. They illuminate, and then they fall to the ground gradually on a parachute. They don't change in size unless they die out. They might flicker, sputter, be affected by the wind. But other than that, not disappearing off at mad angles, accelerating away, and all that kind of thing, really. But hang on a minute. I'll come to something else for you in a sec. Okay, so there you go. So there's flares for you. That's what a flare is going to look like. I'll quickly look at my doobry-doobry. Now, of course, I'm not the only person to have seen things like this. There are many people across the world that have seen things like this. And, you know, not just in that time period. It wasn't limited to just that time period. It's happening all the time. People seeing red balls, orange balls of light. You know, sightings like this are going on a lot. This is a report. I just quickly looked at you guys can do as you wish, and I'm sure you'll find lots of instances where red lights are floating self-luminescent balls have been 20 years later, so 2009, over the skies of Lincolnshire, spotting a group of red spheres, self-luminescent red spheres floating across the sky. There's another one. You just bear with me a second. Like I say, this happens a lot. It's like not uncommon for this for these kind of things to be seen. And you obviously all know there's lots of different descriptions of UFOs and what the type of things people see. So as you can see there, mass sightings of strange orange glowing lights reported to MUFON, which is Mutual UFO Network, for those who don't know, and for those who do, I'm stating the obvious. But that kind of thing, you can see two there, one lower down to the house, one up in the sky, bright red balls. And it goes on. It goes on quite a lot. Not every day, granted, but it goes on quite a lot. These things are seen, so it's not uncommon to see these. Top left there, Texas UFOs. So maybe that is taken in Texas. It says, Sealy outside Houston. So it's taken in Texas in 2016, just outside Houston in Texas. So these things are being seen in Texas and all over the world, and, you know, plenty of places. Actually, I believe Texas has been a bit of a hotspot fairly recently for UFO activity. They seem to be getting quite mullered by UFO activity. Now, I've got a couple of videos here, and obviously these aren't videos of the occurrence that I've seen of the event that I witnessed, but these are the indicative of what happened. So we'll put them on so you can see them, and you can make up your own kind of mind. Now, it didn't happen exactly like this, but fairly like this. So let's come here. Let's share this with you, so you get a little bit of an idea what went on. Okay. So this kind of a thing. Could say floating across the sky. Didn't move exactly like that, the one that I saw, but very similar to that. I'll put up another one for you. You just bear with me a sec. So you're getting the kind of idea, the type of thing that I've seen, obviously, aren't you? And the fact that these have been seen a lot. And in various shapes and guises, different colours and everything. But this is another one fairly recently. Fairly recent, as you can see, quite bright, very bright, actually. I will look at them there. They're actually a little smaller than the ones that I witnessed, that I witnessed myself. It looks a little smaller. It looks smaller than the one I've seen. They are changing. They're not dropping to the floor, not visibly seeing any smoke trails behind them to suggest that they're flares, but that will give you a visual kind of indication as to the kind of thing that I was seeing. So, you know, there you go. I don't think they were schmoolies or looms, or ball lightning or anything like that. And the thing that I seen on that night didn't really look to me or can be explained away with any of the things that I've said myself tonight. I tried to explain it away with as ball lightning, as drones, as flares. You know, obviously because of the way that it acted, you can completely rule out aircraft, helicopters, and that kind of thing, just due to the altitude alone, let alone the way that it acted, and like I say, the acceleration. Now, I suppose one of the biggest regrets from this happening isn't just the fact that my friend didn't see it. I mean, that goes without saying, doesn't it? But the fact that I didn't have any way of recording it at the time. This is 1989, and we didn't have, you know, we didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have the ability to record with us constantly. I mean, we're afforded that luxury now because of mobile phones. Everybody has a camera with them. So you get lots and lots and lots of footage coming in that you didn't have that luxury back then. Everybody's got the capability of recording something that they see. So there is a big increase in video footage and digital stills footage starting to come into the paranormal and ufological community because of this. Lots and lots of videos of even cryptozoological creatures also being seen more and more. And we're seeing the prevalence of this across the internet, obviously, as word spreads and as people are getting more and more and more footage, pictures, and experiencing more, perhaps. And mixed in with the fact that people are more likely to want to talk about it because society has changed as well. And the way that we view the paranormal, the way that we view, you know, cryptoid creatures, and the way that we view the possibility of life on other planets. So it's and we're afforded a sounding board to be able to tell people about this, because here we are on YouTube now discussing a sighting that I had. So that's a quick rundown of what went on. I mean, I say a quick rundown. There isn't a great deal really more than that, but it was strange. It was strange, and I've tried to fathom it out and come up with an explanation as to why what happened did happen, and I've not been able to do that. I've not been able to do that. Now, that is not to say that there isn't somebody out there who can't do that, but just that I myself haven't been able to do that, and also people that I know haven't been able to do that because of the way that it acted. In a corroborative sense, it would have been nice had Mr. M seen it too, but he didn't. So, you know, there you go. That's the way it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flash a banner to you lovely people out there. And let's go with this. Okay. If there's any questions in the chat that you want to ask me, then I'll try, Yeah, I will try to answer in the best way that I possibly can. Now, please be aware that there is a little bit of a lag with me being on the streaming software and you guys seeing this and putting your questions in the chat. In fact, let me just go to YouTube. Where are we at? Okay, let's have a quick look in here. Okay, by the way, admin, if moderators, if you want to start slamming some links into the chat of for everybody to share the love, please feel free to do that. Louise is normally on the job there. I thought I saw Beth a little earlier, but yeah, please feel free to slam some links into the chat, and we'll sort of like go from there. Spread the love, that kind of thing. Let's see. I mean, there's not really a great deal to ask about it, I suppose, in many ways, though, But we'll give it a go. If any questions about that site, what your opinions about what it might have been or why, then let me know. And hello to anybody who might have joined. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, DW. Thank you very much there, and greetings across the pond there to Oregon. Hope you're doing well. What do you think would attract UFOs? That's a good one, isn't it? There's been quite a few theories as to why people think UFOs might be attracted, might go to certain areas, such as nuclear facilities, military bases, wanting to collect geological sources, such as there's one where everybody wants water. It's a source of life, and the people claiming that UFOs have been spotted above reservoirs and big bodies of water, sucking up all the water into the craft. Of course, we all know about cattle mutilations, and seen memes or pictures or even CGI videos of cows being sucked up out of fields. You get some big proponents of that in the UFO field. Like Linda Moulton Howe was quite an advocate for that kind of thing, especially cattle mutilations. Not on her own. There is a lot of other people that do that. But so biological and geological resources. So maybe that, and of course keeping an eye on us. Keeping an eye on us. Because we're a so-called social experiment, if you like, in the eyes of, in the eyes of some people, think it could be because it's down to we aren't actually from this planet. We're an experiment put down here by extraterrestrial biological entities, and they come back from time to time to keep an eye on us. If you ask other people with the same thing, but they don't come back from time to time because they are always here. They are mixed in with us, and they're us. They're part of us. Do you think it was? There's a possibility it could be energy. The way science sort of talks about energy, or possible theories about energy is that's understood now, and would suggest not. The movement of it would also suggest not. If it was a ball of energy, it would have to be self-propelled to change direction, and also to accelerate. So I would say not. I would say not. No, but you never know. What's this one? That's always a possibility as well. Because we don't know how, in any kind of empirical sense, how what we call UFOs appear, how they arrive, how we start to see them. You see some videos that are put across the world, and they'll just materialize. There'll be nothing there. The sky will be completely empty, and they'll just materialize. It'll grow. There'll be a big ball or whatever, and they'll be there. Of course, we're not just dealing with balls of light here. We're also dealing with solid objects that people are seeing. The three-dimensional objects that people are seeing. Spherical, disc, triangular, cuboid, random shapes as well. So there's lots of different shapes of UFOs. What people are seeing. Here we go. Yeah, there's a couple of things here that I'll actually. There you go. Yeah, it's good to have a good time, though, Rev. You have to have a good time, don't you? Because it can get too boring otherwise. So look. Yes. The thing is the hotspots as well seem to change over the time as the years go by. Different parts of the world become hotspots. That you might already know about now. Interestingly enough, at one time now, I don't know if I've got to be honest, I don't know if this is true now, but it was true at one time. That I live in the Pennine Hills, and if you typed in hotspots for UFO activity, then the Pennine Hills in England is not only the most likely place to see a UFO in the UK, but it's in the top 10 places to have seen a UFO in the world. Or it was then. I'm going back about 10 years or so now. That might have changed. But at that time, the Pennines, where I'm living, was a hotspot for UFO activity worldwide as well as nationwide. And of course, we know about Mexico and Belgium and other countries where there can be massive hotspot activity, and possibly in the East, but they don't really talk to us as much. So, we can only guess at what it's like, the interspersal of sightings and events going on there. Now, there's another one, is that are a lot of UFOs and things that are being seen actually back-engineered alien technology that's been used by our government, and that a lot of what's being seen now isn't alien per se, but derived from alien technology, back-engineered, like I said, produced by our governments around the world and being tested and flown and used by in black projects by the militaries around the world, and we're being kept in the dark about it, So that again is another possibility. What's this? Yes, that is true. Actually, I'm glad you've just reminded me about that. That is true. Yes, Scotland has been a massive hotspot for it, hasn't it? So thanks for that. Yeah, there've been a lot of UFO sightings in Scotland. Bonnybridge was a big place for a while. So a lot of activity in Scotland. Yeah, our northern cousins were copying for quite a few sightings back then. There was a lot going on. So thank you. Here we go. Yeah, luckily, DW, I don't think I don't think there's been too many instances where they've landed and tried to take them on in a drinking contest or anything like that, which is perhaps just as well. But I think we'll see about that. You never know, do you? But yes, Scotland, yeah, that did become a hotspot for quite a while, and indeed probably still is, isn't it? I think it still is. And I do want to say something. There's quite a few channels in the chat now that have come over from the US. So if you'd welcome them, the guys from the UK, that'd be fantastic. I would appreciate that. I've increased in subscriber count a great deal because I've been interacting with other channels across the world. Like I said before, South Africa, Canada, the USA, Italy, Spain, Germany. So I've been fairly busy trying to interact with various channels. When them channels come over here and say hello, it's massively appreciated, and it does spread the word around the world, and we can also get along. I keep seeing you in chat there, Steve. Actually, have you got 10 minutes to come up here to give me your thoughts on what happened? I understand if you don't, and I know that I'm kind of just dropping it on your toes. Can I just put this up in the chat? There you go. Yes. Yeah. I'll just highlight that. I've also been speaking to some. I don't know if you're referring to that being a hotspot, DW. I'm not sure if you're referring to that being a hotspot. However, or whether you're talking about me speaking to channels in Australia to sort of like spread the word, kind of thing. Don't know about that. Excellent, Steve. I will flash you the link in one sec, fella. If you've just got a few minutes, I know that you might be busy and you've had a busy day, but obviously with you being big into the ufology, and I'd be interested to hear what you've got to say. So that should be the link, should be in the stream, and then if you dive in, I'll see you in the bottom there. No problem at all, Boots. Thank you very much. Like I say, I have noticed a couple of the channels over from the US that have appeared in the chat. And likewise, the channels in the US, the channels in the chat from the US, if you subscribe to the channels over here in the UK, you've got Paranormal People there, Mags. You've also got Beth Bits and Pieces, up and coming channel. She's started to put some videos out. You've got Louise Beyond the Paranormal. You've got Diabolical Witness. He's from your neck of the woods. Fantastic. Does some really good videos. You've also got Rose from Hell House Paranormal. If you can sort of interact, guys, that'd be absolutely fantastic. No problem at all, Steve. I'm doing okay, Rose. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. So if you can, sort of like share with one another, please. That'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant. That's very kind of you. That Boots. The right thing to do is to help one another out, isn't it? And I have seen you pop in quite a few times. Hopefully, I'm sorry to hear about your late Shawnee thing as well. By the way, I know that you was massively looking forward to that. Hopefully, you and your old man can get there fairly soon, or at least get a chance to meet up with the other guys, because I'm sure that'd be a bigger part of it than anything else. Thanks, Rev. You're a good girl. I've talked a lot to Rev, another channel does some good stuff. Please subscribe. You're more than welcome. Hi, Rose. Yeah, I can see you, darling. No problem. I can see you. Please subscribe to Stranger Times as well. I sub to our Paranormal Girl. That's brilliant. Bigger part of it than anything else. Yeah, you might have to kill your YouTube. Good girl. I've talked a lot to Rev, another channel does some good stuff. Please subscribe. Kill your YouTube. Kill the audio on your YouTube. Hi, Rose. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'll just highlight this. Thank you, Louise, for doing the mod thing. I will dive on the YouTube thing in a minute and start making some more people moderators. Steve, hello. Have I got you? Is the audio there?
I'm hoping so. Is that okay?
There we go. Hello, Yay! Brother. How are you?
Rock-a-doodle-doo. I'm absolutely shattered, mate, but I couldn't leave you on your own tonight. I had to keep my eye on you.
Yeah, I do need to be watched. That's become apparent to everybody.
Angel of old, or not.
I'm glad. So there you go. A little bit of a chat about what's gone on. What do you think? I mean, it's your take on it.
Well, what I would say, well, I can't say what it was, but I can certainly say what it wasn't. A lot of people would turn around and say, "Oh yeah, it's quite possibly Earthlights." You know, the old Paul Devereaux thing. Earthlights, though, are usually associated if there's anything like an earthquake or some catastrophe which would cause a problem. You know, like fracking, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But from what I can gather and which little research I've managed to be able to do around what you've told me, there's absolutely nothing around, you know, in the district where you lived at that time or anything. So that's a nonsense. I don't think it's a drone, because drones don't grow in size when you're looking at them, unless they're quite pleased with themselves. That might be the only way they'll actually do it. But, you know, to be honest, I honestly think you've seen something which is within the paranormal, ufological realm.
Yeah. Of course, you know, you know yourself to make to sort of like make that kind of statement and stand by it can be a little bit, it can be a little bit difficult, can't it, to justify saying it.
The thing is, we exist in a world which tries to see things in black and white, and sometimes that's quite difficult. As you know yourself, over the years, stuff that you've investigated, stuff that I've investigated, or both of us have investigated, it's not as clean cut as that. If it was, then it would make the jobs hell of a lot easier to turn around and say, well, it's this or it's that. But we can't. We can say it's not this, it's not that, and it's that grey area in between. It's like when we're told, like, out of 100 sightings of UFOs, probably 95% of them can easily be explained. And out of that remaining 5, probably 3% of that is technology, which, as we know, the government is always 30 years, ahead of what we know now. But it's that tiny 2% what makes the difference.
Okay, so Jimmy there, what's your thoughts on alien tech becoming mainstream? Roswell was in 1947 with the invention of the transistor that revolutionized the world, coming only a few months later.
I mean, that's all boils down, doesn't it, to the Corso book, The Day After Roswell, where he was supposed to have been sort of lumped in. They brought this big filing cabinet in, stuck it in front of him, said, I want you to have a look at through this. There's some interesting bits and bobs, and basically what we want you to do is find how we can get something from it.
Yeah.
And he went through it and he passed stuff over to certain laboratories. And the only thing he said to them was, if you want to go and make money, go and do it. But anything that you find, I want you to report it back to us, and we need to know what it is in front of everybody else. And we got, allegedly, fiber optics, the night vision, processors, central processing units, the printed circuit, all stuff like that was supposed to have come from the Roswell crash, fielded out, and that's when the back engineering began to be started. Allegedly. I hate doing that. I have to add it to everything, because if you don't, people turn around and go, well, you're nuts. No, there's a possibility that stuff like this could have happened. Whether it's through Corso or not, I don't know, but I do believe there has been back engineering projects over the years.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? This sort of is a need, really, to always add the word allegedly at the end of any kind of. It's like a disclaimer for the paranormal and for ufology, isn't it? To be able to sort of cover your back, like you say.
The only problem in doing that is it takes away any belief that you've got as well, because it's like you're sitting on a fence as well. I do sort of, how can I put it? On the UFO side of stuff, I do believe that we are being visited. I also do believe in the back engineering side of stuff. No doubt about it. And the same with the paranormal. I have belief in the spirit world. I have belief that there is things that is happening around us that we can't explain, and that only quantum physics at the moment is actually touching upon. I mean, even some of the most famous quantum physics that's going on, they're actually looking at this and saying, well, you know what? Some of these very small particles are acting with a form of intelligence. Now, where are you getting that from? I mean, this is people who are now turning around and saying that, quantum physics could explain the afterlife. There's actually a documentary called The Physics of the Afterlife, where it's got genuine physicists who are actually looking at this as something that's going on. I'm going to just sort of quickly go in here. Mark Fisher, hi Mark, he said he found the case of Phil Schneider disturbing. It's a true story, but I'll tell you, about 3 months before Phil Schneider died, I actually had an email and a letter sent through the post from Phil Schneider asking me to put his story about, which was put out in various newsletters across the country. And then a few months later, he passed away. Well, depends which way you want to look at that. But yeah, the Phil Schneider story is really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair comment to make, Louise. It wouldn't be paranormal if you could explain it, so having a disclaimer is a good thing. Yeah, and think many of us do. There are people that are out and out believers, and I think that they obviously don't feel the need to have a disclaimer for that reason alone. But yeah, go on, Steve.
You have to have that dividing line, don't you? Where it's like you have to have sense of it all. you can have that belief, but you still have to investigate it to sort of say, well, this is why I believe it. This is the proof what I have found, or this is the evidence that I have found. So actually somebody to come up and go, this is a picture of a ghost, and you go, bloody hell, that's the most fantastic picture I've ever seen. It's a real ghost. Then that is not being an investigator. If you're presented with that picture of a ghost, and then you go through all the rigmarole of analysing it, checking up everything about the area where the photograph was taken, do everything that you can, and if you can come up with, that, look, we've looked at this in every possible way, and we can't find anything, so I'm erring on the side that it could be something paranormal, although I'm not 100%, that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, you with this, with the paranormal, with ufology, with cryptozoology, and so on, we're not really dealing with absolutes.
No.
By the very definition of what we're trying to ascertain as being the truth, we're looking for the truth. We're trying to find answers. So we're not dealing with absolutes. We're dealing with pseudoscience theories and personal experience for the most part. So it can get a little bit difficult. So I do think an allegedly thrown into the mix every now and then is a good thing. It
makes you sound like a dodgy lawyer.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like the good old-fashioned political thing is to turn around and say, yeah, we're not going to make any changes at the moment, but we will have a moratorium on them. In other words, what they mean is they're going to sit down and maybe talk about it over a cup of tea, but nothing will get done.
Yeah. Let's have a meeting.
It's just a posh way of saying we're going to sit on our backsides and talk about things for a little bit. So don't be fooled, people. Is there any more questions in the chat? I'll drop the link again in a second if somebody wants to come up for a few minutes, but I ask that you try and keep it topical, please. But I'll drop the link in the chat in a second. But is there any more questions? What's this? Okay, yeah, I like that. When I can get a grip on it, where are you? There we go. Beth says, yeah, if I had something I thought was paranormal, I'd send my pictures or video off to people I trust to give me an honest answer.
That's probably the best thing to do. The unfortunate thing is finding those honest people to do it. Over the years, people have sent off to laboratories, even to the government, which is probably the biggest mistake they've ever made. And things have a habit of going missing. So always make sure that wherever you send it, that you've got some form of proof that it's actually been there, received and whatever, because the amount of stuff that goes missing, altered or whatever is unbelievable.
Okay, now for obvious reasons, I can't give out names. And to be quite frank, I can't remember the names, but there was a case in the 1990s that yourself and myself dealt with regarding alleged abductions,
yes,
where the house was broken into and material stolen, videotape stolen, and photographs. Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah, I certainly do. It was, without going into too much, but it was the children seemed to be the ones that was being latched in on. And we suggested quite a few things ourselves what they should do, and they kept a diary, they kept a video diary, photographs, and like I say, and they just all went missing.
Now, this gentleman had worked in the Far East in Saudi Arabia for a while, hadn't he? And
yeah, it'd been going on for a while over there, and then when they moved over here, it was in the hopes that all this would stop, but it just carried on.
And the thing being, as you hit upon a moment ago, was that the family, the wife and the children were massively affected by this. Yeah,
definitely. And you know what? They were a very, very nice family as well. No pretensions about them. Certainly nothing where they were sort of digging into the phenomena at all and saying, well, we've seen this, so we believe it's that. They were genuinely disturbed by what was going on and just wanted an answer, and had never got one from anywhere.
Now the wife, she was younger than the husband, but the young lady reported finding a physical hard object in the knee. Do you remember the fact that she thought the possible implant in the kneecap?
Yeah,
on the inside of her right knee.
It was like a very. If you looked at it sort of like from a medical point of view, you'd think it was some kind of like calcified spur or something from the bone tissue. Yeah. But that was definitely not the case, because one, it didn't quite look like that, and it was more of a lump than a spur, because when the spur comes, it sort of like comes to a point because of the way it grows. But this was like a proper lump underneath the knee.
Yeah, and it actually floated. Well, it floated like it was in midair, but what I mean, it would move around within the soft tissue surrounding the knee, if you remember.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't right. Most certainly wasn't right. But when you take into account of everything that was going on there, nothing was right. You could not put down to anything that was normal. They couldn't sleep properly. Whenever they tried to have like a family night in, there was always some kind of disturbance of some kind. They just did not have a proper life. That's the only way I could put it. They were literally being haunted, taunted, or whatever by whatever entity it was in question.
Yeah, the thing is I've seen there Stranger Times. If you're referring to who we're speaking about, these are clients from 1998, maybe.
Yeah,
something.
98,
Yeah, 98. So obviously we can't give the names of these people, but they lived in this area, in the Manchester area. They contacted. They contacted Steve, is who they contacted, and then Steve got hold of me because I lived closer to them. And this is when Steve was the director and I was the assistant director, stroke dog's body, of the aerial phenomenon, the aerial phenomenon research and information exchange, which that's not defunct, by the way, people. That still floats around as and when the opportunity arises. It's stuck in time, yeah. But which obviously, as the name suggests, looked into UFO sightings and into alien abductions, and we would get cases that would range from cattle mutilations that were passed on by a larger group, and because they couldn't make head and tails of it, I'm not going to say who they are because that doesn't solve anything. We all know who they are. But they would pass them on, and some from cattle mutilations to alleged alien abductions to simple things just like lights in the sky. Hello there, Sarah at FM Perspective. Thank you for dropping in. Very much appreciated. And hi, Michael. But some of the things that were reported, Stranger Times, would also be we would get. They would have elements of missing time. Now, the father or the man of the house would he went up into the bathroom to have a shave. He said that he felt like time slowed down, and that's all he remembers. But his wife, however, who was in the kitchen, had gone up to find out what was taking him so long, and she couldn't find him in the house.
No, she
couldn't find him anywhere in the house. So of course she started to panic because, as I remember, they had three children, two boys, and the daughter was the youngest kiddie. And obviously they're starting to get a little bit distraught because he's disappeared off the face of the planet as far as they're concerned. They haven't seen him go through the back door. He hasn't come down the stairs and gone out the front door, and he's not in the bathroom. Then all of a sudden he comes wandering down the stairs and into the kitchen, and he's got shaving foam all over his face. And he's like a little bit groggy, and he's, where have you been? Where have you been? Like, you've been gone for how long was it, Steve? Can you remember?
I think it was about 2.25 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was about. Yeah, I think.
Because she was all phoning his parents, wasn't she?
Yes, that is true. She contacted his mum and dad to see where he'd gone. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it was about 2 hours. Hang on a minute. I'll bang the link into the chat there. And like I say, if you're gonna jump in, try and not to drag us off the topic on this one, if you can, peeps, please. But the call to arms is out there. Should anybody want to do it, click on it rather. But yeah, he disappeared for 2 hours, and you're right, Steve. I'm glad you've said that. She did contact his parents because she was getting distraught because he'd completely disappeared.
I mean, like they say in Ghostbusters, I've seen shit that'll make your hair turn white. I mean, when you hear stories like that and you're there in front of the people who are face to face with you, and they're worried about what they're trying to tell you because they obviously think it is so much out of the ordinary, and we're listening to it knowing it's so much out of the ordinary, but to us it's not because of all the other things that we've listened to, investigated, researched, or whatever.
Yeah.
it's so distraught that you can't sort of say, look, this is what it is. Just to ease the mind, you can't do it. And the more that they were telling you, the more you thought, my God, what else can this family go through?
You know, this is it, because weirdly, like I say, he's turned up, he's come down the stairs and wandered into the kitchen where the missus is, because obviously she's making tea for the young ones. No idea where hub is disappeared to, and he's come back into the kitchen. Sorry, he's come downstairs into the kitchen, shaving foam all over his face, a little bit groggy, saying, you know, what's been going on? Like, sorry, I've got you, Louise. Time seemed to slow down for him, Lou.
He didn't realise, did he, that he'd been gone that long? All he thought was, I think he said, what was it, something along the lines of that? He felt like he was just daydreaming.
Yeah, typical good old fashioned Oz factor.
Yeah,
that he went through, didn't he?
He just sat there and he said he sort of like lost track of time because he was just looking in the mirror. That's and I vaguely remember something along the lines of him saying that the kids were quite distraught because she was upset on the phone speaking to the parents, that she couldn't find him. They didn't know what was going on, and the kids had picked up on it. And she's trying to talk, the kids are crying, and she's trying to calm them down. And the parents are saying, well, what's happened? When did this happen? And they couldn't understand how he could go upstairs and then no longer be there. And she was trying to explain. She said she felt like she was in the middle. She was trying to deal with the kids, and the parents couldn't understand how he could disappear from upstairs. Neither could she, but they were trying to make her explain what was going on, and she had absolutely no idea. And I think when he came down, she sort of went, what, you know, literally kicked off with him, which made the kids carry on even more. And he was at it, I don't know what you're on about. I've only been upstairs. I've just been for a shave.
Yeah, a massive chunk of missing time for, like you say, 2 hours. I'm sure you're right about that now, actually.
I think it is 2.25 hours. I mean, I think I've still got the notes somewhere. I will go through them, but I'm sure it was 2.25 hours.
And another... I don't want to say symptom, because that's another one of the boxes that can be ticked regarding alien abduction and things that happen to people during alien abductions, or allegedly, again, there's that word, is the nosebleeds. He would have nosebleeds a lot, wouldn't he, as well?
Yeah, just 1 sec, mate. I'll be back with you. One second. Yeah,
no problem at all. So he suffered a lot of nosebleeds, this gentleman. What's this? Okay. He would have frequent nosebleeds. These were investigated, obviously, by the medical establishment. That goes without saying. So, you know, they were never really explained away as to why. That he would have these nosebleeds. It was just put down to the fact that he would have nosebleeds. There wasn't really a physiological reason as to why. They couldn't come up with a medical reason as to why. You are very welcome there, Rev. No problem at all. Shan, you take it easy. That's what I like. Okay, cool. I'll highlight that, actually. Stranger times. Case in America on farm around 1875. Farmer with his wife and kids, and he vanished right in front of them. And they could hear him calling for help in the spot where he vanished. So that's almost suggesting like trans-dimensional stroke interdimensional marks on bodies. Yes, that's another thing. I want to address that when Steve comes back. So thank you for saying that, Stranger Times, because you just also reminded me about another part of the story regarding this family. That's very, very relevant.
Sorry about that. I'm missing
no problem. No problem at all. I want to chat about something just in 1 sec, Steve, because Stranger Times has brought something up which is very relevant.
Yeah, no problem.
Just put this. Okay, let's say it was aliens. Has it ever been considered that mirrors might be some form of portal that even aliens can take people, same in which mirrors are used as portals for spirits?
There was many years ago a science fiction story that was turned into a comic strip called Slow Glass.
Yes.
And that is something that's been taken into consideration for quite a few years as a serious thing, that when we, in the mirror, it records, you know, like stone tape theory, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep track of time. Now, what's to say that future technology cannot tap into this but not only steal the time that you've spent in that mirror, but can steal you from this point in time. If you I know it's a bit bloody far-fetched, but you understand what I'm getting at. So that the mirror can be used as a portal. And like I say, it's used in scrying, all sorts of stuff like that, because of the way that people think that a person is held either in that mirror or the passage of that person's time is held in that mirror. Because how many times have you seen information on like a haunting or whatever? And people say, "Oh, it's coming, yeah," and then all of a sudden I saw a figure behind me.
Yeah.
Now, was that actually behind them, or was that part of the mirror replaying a previous recording of something that had been caught in the mirror?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll just highlight this. One of my chums highlighted public humiliation is always awesome. While that might be the case, I think it should be mentioned, Rev, that with you being an ordained minister and counselor, therapist, and that you do have certain attributes that mean any opinion that you have is going to be welcome and relevant. So I don't necessarily agree with your earlier statement. You know, if it's on topic and it's about, you know, your opinion about it, then it's relevant, in my opinion. So don't play yourself down, kid. I think you do great. There was
I don't have a go at people.
I know, yeah. We all love one another over it. Okay, so marks on the body regarding the case that me and you were talking about a moment ago.
Flaming it, yeah, that was spooky. That.
Now we're talking here, Stranger Times, if you're still around. Finger marks, 3, I believe. Yeah. Three. And they would this is the video footage that was stolen. Yeah. This is the actual video footage that was stolen. Is of 3 finger marks on her leg, I believe.
Yeah.
That were raised, like raised welts, raised wheels.
As though somebody literally just scraped fingers with large nails on it down, and it literally rose up straight away.
Yeah, and this is it. They were finger marks that almost looked like they had suction cups on them.
Yeah,
is the way that it was described. That then faded over time, disappeared back into the skin. Not like an injury where it would you'd leave scratches or a little bit of redness shortly afterwards. These are raised up off the skin quite noticeably, by the way, Stranger Times, and they disappear back into the skin on the video footage. Now, this isn't the only video footage contained upon that tape, if I'm right, Steve, because he did not actually capture a craft as well, or what he thought was a craft.
It was, if I remember rightly, it was a case of, I'm trying to picture now of the house, because if I remember rightly, it was like a big living room. They had a big window over. If you came through the door into the living room, slightly over to the left was the big window looking out, and then it was going to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the picture that the video footage that he took was taken from that window looking out.
Yeah.
It literally looked like a light with 2 other lights, because at first he thought it was a helicopter with a light at the front and the 2 lights at the back for navigation lights.
Yeah.
It was sort of like shifting slightly, but it wasn't. The 3 lights sort of coalesced then into one, and they just hovered. And he said it was as though it turned round and looked at him. And that was the weird thing that he felt about it, that he was being watched.
Now, the thing is, as well, which is also worth mentioning, is the fact that although they've been having experiences, this family, over a period of time, because as Steve said before, he'd come back from the United Arab Emirates or Saudi Arabia, where I think it was Saudi, wasn't it?
Saudi, yeah, and because it's one of the stories that I remember telling, that one of the houses that they lived in had a flat roof. And on the flat roof from the back of it, there was like, it sort of went up a bit, so they had like a balcony type thing. And the little lad who used to go out there in the evenings to get cool, he went in one night and he said, there's a little man outside watching us.
Yes.
And they said, what do you mean? And they went out and they couldn't say anything. But this happened every so many nights that he would discuss. He's saying he's just been out and he's seen this small little man. And each time they went out, they couldn't find him. So they asked him to draw it. And the drawing, it was literally, well, it's like the typical atypical grey. But this is a kid, if I remember rightly, at the time, was he something like 4 years old?
Yeah, he was 4. Yeah.
So he would, no way he would have been sort of like looking at UFO documentaries or anything like that. But the drawing that he did was the big face with the big eyes and the slender body. And he was, because I'm sure it was something to do with, it was sat next to the air conditioning unit watching him. There's like a big block at the side. And that's one of the things that always sticks out. The fact that, yeah, they were in Saudi air conditioning unit and this thing was watching them.
Yeah. That's it. Hi, Selena. Thank you for dropping by. Appreciate that. Nice to see you in the chat there. Yeah, he'd actually described it as that when they were in the new house, it is the same family, by the way. Stranger Times. If your comment is about what me and Steve are talking about, this is the same family. When the bedroom door was left open, they could see down the corridor, or rather down the hallway, the landing, if you like, to the bottom where the bathroom was. And in this hallway, they would see the figure or small figures that would describe as greys. As Steve just said, they would pretty much describe them as greys with like black almond-shaped eyes, very large heads. Not so much grey, but like a white or whitey kind of
almond colour.
Yeah, almond. Yeah, an almond colour. Thank you. And that they would approach them. They would not walk in. They would see these beings float down the corridor towards them. This is both the boys, but mainly it was centered around the 4-year-old. You're absolutely right about that. And they would float towards the children when they were laying in the beds. And even though they got closer, even though these little beings would get closer to the children, they didn't get any larger. Which is obviously goes against the laws of perspective, doesn't it? Really,
yeah.
They didn't get any larger. They would stay the same size, and still. What's this? I'll 1 second. I'll come to that. They didn't change in size. They didn't change in dimension, and they would get to them. I'm trying to wrap my brain here because a lot of the stuff I will pass on to Steve. I'm not trying to throw Steve into the with this one, but Steve collected all the research material and stored it and filed it. And if you even remotely had a little bit of an idea about the type of the library of information that Steve's got regarding ufology and the paranormal, you'd be stunned. So he would catalogue all this. So this made it to Steve. And we would pass the information on to Steve, who would then be able to cross-reference it with other case studies from around the world and from around the country and other cases that a pre might have been involved in. But I think, going off memory, that he also described that not only were a figure that came down that didn't change in size as they got towards these young kids, but they actually were surrounded by a halo of white light.
Yeah, definitely. That was one of the weird things about it as well, because they said that although there was the white light, excuse me, it didn't. How can I put this? Like if you were to switch a light on in a house and it would spread around the room, this light would only sort of like hang around where these things were and spread out as far as where the children were. It wouldn't light up the rest of the room. It was like it was very stuck to one point, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Whereas light should spread out, it was it wasn't. It was only kept in one place.
So if you imagine for the people from the UK, if you remember the old Ready Breck adverts, I suppose almost in a
Definitely,
little bit
kids.
Yeah.
Been on holiday at Sellafield.
I know, yeah. Yeah, 3-headed spider.
Yeah.
But if you imagine sort of like the Ready Breck advert, where it would have like a glow or an emanating like a kind of like light around each being, maybe a little bit like an aura, but more standoutish. And if if you're from the US, if you imagine the same kind of glow from a light stick, an illuminated stick that you break and shake, a break and shake stick, I'm going to call them. Not a massively intense light, but they had a light surrounding them. They were described as having a light surrounding them. As regards that comment, Stranger Times, although admittedly, I would say that any person who comes forward with an experience, and is willing to be open about it and discuss it, then any investigator who takes on board that case is lucky anyway, to be trusted by the people that are having experiences, and for a lot of the time can be quite traumatized by what's going on. I will go back to an earlier statement now. Steve might be able to elaborate more upon this again, because like I said, there were a few of us in the group. I'm not going to drop names, because the only two that I'm bothered about are me and Steve. No, but I know, yeah. But there was a few people in the group, and everybody would get me hands on it, and I would look at it. Steve would get hold of it, and then he'd cross-reference it and store it. So I'm not totally sure about this, but I will deal with this question. They still live in the UK, as far as I'm aware. Yes.
Yes,
as far as I'm aware,
yeah, they are
still having the experiences.
The last time I spoke to them, they said they still had experiences, but they just sort of took it on board as it's part of life. There's nothing more they can do about it. They've tried to, well, obviously we were involved with about, was it 8 or 9 months or something like that over it?
It was easily about 9 months, yeah.
And, you know, they said they just sort of get along with it. And that was, the last time I spoke to them would have been what? About 2000, 2001.
Yeah, I think it would have been about that time, because that's the last time I spoke to them too. Yeah. I will say this for Stranger Times. The thing is, they'd had a culmination of experiences over years, as we've just said. Now, they wanted to find out, obviously, what was going on, and there was only a few people around that would offer advice or be able to look into it. A couple of them were quite big UFO study groups or investigative teams in the UK. I'm not going to name them. And they approached these people. They approached these people. And the teams that they approached did leak some of the information that had been put forward to them. And if I'm right, one of the investigators at that time, one of the more well-known investigators at the time, had actually started to put elements of this case, before he'd finished investigating it, into a manuscript that he was going to write for a book.
Yeah.
He'd already started to sort of start letting information out before he'd actually studied the case and looked into the case. Now, as I remember it, the fact that they started to leak information meant that the story got out about this family, and it was after that, Stranger Times, that the strange thing started to happen. Like, the house got broken into, and now bear in mind, if you break into somebody's house, not that I'm suggesting you would, but if you did, are you likely to take one cassette, one tape? Okay, if there's a television there, there's video camera, games consoles, video recorder, whatever else is in the kitchen. That's the one, isn't it? You know the kind of electrical appliances. Are you going to break into somebody's house and just take the tape recorder? Just take the VHS cassette. And not only that, are you going to take the exact one that's containing the footage as well? Is that exactly what you're going to break into somebody's house? You've got a plethora of things that you can take. Hi, Cara, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate that. Hello, thank you. There's lots of things you can take. You can have an absolute field day as a burglar. Now, this family weren't skinned. They weren't a poor family. Like I say, he'd worked in Saudi Arabia. I forget exactly what he'd done, Steve, but I don't know if you remember that.
I think he was an architect, if I remember right.
Yes. See, this is why it's good you're up here. Yeah, so he was well paid. He earned a good wage. They had the mod cons for the time period. You know what I mean? Exactly. Stranger Times, money, jewelry, all that kind of thing. But no, just the one video cassette went missing, which was the video cassette with the footage on it of what he thought was a craft, which I can't remember how he described it. I apologize for that. Steve might know. And the video footage of the finger marks on the wife's leg, on the woman's leg.
Well, I've just been funny enough, I've just found all my notes. I've been looking through them, and like you saying about, they came over from Saudi, it's over here. That I've actually just found a note that they put in the diary from when they came over here, and they actually got the mortgage. No names involved, but he says, got our mortgage and the house we wanted. It's a good omen. Maybe things are changing. We really can't take one more bad thing or news.
Yeah.
And that's how down they were. They wanted to get away from everything to make a new life. But as things sort of went on, it didn't. It sort of like carried on. And it was just so unfortunate, everything that went on. And our last contact with them was in May 1998. And then, we did the follow-up in 2000.
Thank you, Cara. Appreciated for the fact that you've stopped by. Thank you. I hope you have a good night, good evening, and your fella does too. Thank you. Yeah, that's the thing. They'd already been like fairly miserable, obviously, because of the type of things that were happening. They wanted to seek help. The so-called people that they thought they could trust betrayed them, really, quite frankly.
Well, this is one of the things, and I'm not wanting to blow a trumpet, but I remember because I used to have a second phone line in at my other house on an answering machine.
Yeah.
And the answering message come through just saying, we need to speak to somebody. Could you give us a call? And I did do. And I said, okay, tell us what's going on. And I just sat there, and it must have been about 20, 25 minutes, and I just listened to them with just the occasional comment. And then she turned around and she said, just for this small amount of time on the phone, you've been a bigger help than anybody else who we've actually contacted. Is there any possibility that you could come and see us? And that's when I got in touch with you. And I said, look, I might not be able to get here. I'll put Dave in touch first because, if there's anyone that I can trust to do it, it's Dave. Bang, and that's it. It started from there. But it was those initial 20, 25 minutes just not saying anything and listening to them, which actually gave us the opportunity to actually work with them.
Yeah, I do remember that you phoning me that you had the phone call, and that the first contact after the phone call, obviously they spoke to you on the phone, and then the first contact was instigated by me, and the only reason because I lived closer to them at that time.
Yeah, it's only a couple of miles away, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just a couple of miles away from where I lived, Stranger Times. So that really is the only reason I went to see them first. Not as a preliminary, just to sort of introduce myself, really. And then both me and Steve went back, and that's when it started to gather momentum as a case, really. I will just say, Steve sort of touched on that before. They sort of went off the boil with wanting us to be involved. I don't know if that was because of the amount of, attention it might have got them.
From what I could gather, I think they just wanted to try and get on with the lives, especially where the kids were concerned. Because, like I say, when we went, don't get us wrong, when we went round, we were always made welcome. The kids sort of like got on with us and all stuff like that. I just think that they wanted to sort of like take a step back.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right. Yeah. So no. The answer to that, Stranger Times, has to be no, simply just to give them a quiet life. And also, personally, any details I had regarding that family, I no longer hold. And I think the last person they spoke to from a pre was Steve. That's yeah.
Yeah, it's like, although I've got all the notes and that, obviously everything's been redacted in regards of names, places, whatever. But it's just for our knowing what's been going on or anything like that. And it's just a shame. It really was a shame because I do think they got stiffed over by the so-called, at the time, groups that were supposed to be well up on everything, but they're not. A lot of the groups at the time were just out to make a quick buck, as we found out in the the big reservoir case with what went on over there. It was just people trying to make money off the back of stuff, and if they thought that they weren't getting a better show out of it, then they offloaded them. But these people really, I think more than anything, just needed somebody to speak to and believe them, and not just sort of turn around and say, "Oh, well, give us all this," and we might end up on Strange But True in a couple of weeks or something like that.
That's are you on about the Lady Bower incident?
That's it. The Lady Bar. That's another one we were involved in as well, which was a biggie. And there was always that started off my disenchantment with ufology, because it got to a point where if the investigations weren't to anybody's approval, then they'd start being personal with it. And one of the people who was coming forward saying that something had happened, they actually dug into his past to find out that he hadn't paid his council tax and actually reported him to the police, and he ended up being put away. And then it's a course of like, oh, well, you can't trust this guy because he's been put away. He tells lies. No, he didn't. He didn't pay his council tax, but you dug into it because it suited your purpose even better.
Yeah, the thing is nothing happened. Nothing happened there whatsoever.
No,
until you drive there. Night, Beth. Thank you for dropping by. Thanks, Beth. I hope you have a good night. You rest well. When I went to the I suppose you would call them park wardens for our friends from the US, if you consider them to be park wardens, that were in that area that surrounded this large reservoir. This area is a place of like that, natural beauty, woodland, and that kind of thing, and moorland. And went to interview. Went to talk to the park wardens, park rangers, I suppose you could call them. And they were far from dismissing it as nothing happening. They were very vocal about what had happened, all the trees being flattened, and that the military had come in and the police and search helicopters that were covering the moorland and the woods at the time, and the fact that the roads were cordoned off, and that the police were making sure nobody could get into the area, and trucks had come along and been moving things, and it's they're taking a load of destroyed lumber. What are they moving away from there? And 4 of them out of the 5, and the only reason the 5th one didn't agree is because they weren't on duty at the time. But the other 4 were. There were no ifs or buts about something that happened. But it quickly fell out of the news, and it quickly fell out of interest for a lot of ufology, didn't it? It seemed to just disappear off the scene.
It did, but like I say, it really sort of stuck in my mind that it was a case of that, there was something had happened, although not necessarily anything which would sort of hit the grounds of ufology. But it went to show just how bad ufology in the UK at the time was, because people were literally like fighting dogs, trying to find this, trying to find that, trying to find the other. And if it didn't fit, then they just had to go at people. And I tell you what, it was absolutely sickening. And it really put me back that, because I just thought, you know what? Why do you have to do this? If nothing's happened, then all you do is turn around and say nothing's happened. And I think the only thing that's actually come from that is somebody turned around and said they were a doctor in something, and it turned out they were a doctor in something which there was nothing to do with ufology, but they've actually managed to live off the back of that ever since.
Yeah, and a lot of people will do that. I mean, we see very similar kind of activity, obviously, with the paranormal. I mean, I don't really think the two are mutually exclusive, and I don't discriminate between the two. And as Louise said earlier, I am aware that I won't call it a divide, but I am aware that some people mainly concentrate on hauntings and ghosts and spiritual things and that kind of thing, and don't really get involved in ufology. But it is pretty much, it's the same thing. It can be covered by the paranormal. And
well, I'm lucky because I cross borders on both, so I see it from both sides, mate.
Yeah, as do I. So in a way, I suppose we could be described as weirdo chameleons, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, there they go. That's the one. Oh yes, I will highlight that. Yes, there are a lot of charlatans out there.
We've had that since the Victorian age, though, haven't we? To be honest, from the spiritual stuff where they turn around. I mean, look at some of the old photographs. I mean, if in them days they were able to have that crazy foam and stuff like that.
The ectoplasm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and it's the same with what's it, UFOs and stuff like that. I mean, one of the big cases, it was in the mid-90s, was it the Gulf Breeze photographs?
Yeah, the Gulf Breeze, yeah.
And basically it was just a bit of paper with cutouts on it with a light in it, sort of double exposed on a Polaroid.
It got caught. He the materials with which he made the fake UFOs were found in his loft, weren't they?
Yeah. I think it was somebody who was a babysitter for the house or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, babysitter found it. Here we go. I'm going to highlight this because I think it's funny. I want to hit the link, but too nervous next week, maybe. That's absolutely fine. Stranger Times, whenever you like. Incidentally, the link's there for anybody should they wish to come up. You know, we're not going to be here for too long, but if you do want to come up and you want to chat about this situation or a little bit of UFOs in general, then hit the link and come up here with us, and we'll have a little bit of a chin wag, as they say. But Gulf Breeze was a massively famous one, that wasn't it? You know,
it was. I mean, at the time, I remember when it first came about, and I saw the photographs at first, like, you know what, this is too good to be true, and eventually it was. But I mean, everybody's jumped on the back ever since with the Gulf Breeze. But you still get that bone of contention, even nowadays, where people are saying, well, you know what, people are only saying that it was found because all they try to do is turn around and say that it was nonsense. But you know, for me, I don't think at all that the Gulf Breeze photographs are real at all.
There you go, folks. Gulf Breeze, put it away, far from your mind. Far from your mind. I mean, well, there you go, Adamski. I mean, for me, Meyer, you know, Billy Meyer, he's when it comes to famous UFO photographs, you'd be hard pressed to get the different types he was covering, and that is Billy Meyer, isn't it? You know.
The thing with Adamski, I was always amazed that he managed to get a recording contract many years later, but there you go.
As Stranger Times alluded to earlier, sometimes that you know, money can swing it, can't it? It can be a big incentive towards people losing all moral integrity.
Is there such thing as moral integrity when money's involved?
Yeah. And I can't believe he used the same two things in the same sentence. So paranormal is things that can't be explained by science, things like ufology, cryptid spirits, etc. are your subcategories within the paranormal, each taking down a different path, but still paranormal.
It is. It definitely is, but that's it, isn't it? Paranormal, outside of normal stuff. The thing is, though, is when you start, it amazes me that it can't be called an exact science. And yet we've got stuff like quantum physics, which they call an exact science, which they still don't know anything about anyway. So, I mean, technically, they're on the same path.
Yeah, exactly. Theoretical physics.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. The theory of physicality rather than the factuality of actuality. That's where we seem to be with a lot of it, don't we?
You could turn up at a university or some big place like that, get yourself an office, sit there, put on the door, Dorias lives, theoretical physicist, and get paid a crap load of money for every day just sort of pondering on what could be.
Now, this is true, actually, for those that might be interested in the chat. You too can proclaim to be anything you wish to, and providing you speak clever enough about it, some people will believe you.
Yeah, there's a certain member of the MOD, ex-member of the MOD, who does that and gets away with it.
I'm sure Stranger Times will know exactly who we're talking about there. Whenever I'm on Twitter, he always comes up as a suggested follow for me. Is our our ex-minister of working at the Ministry Air Secretariat, Air Staff 2A. Contact me. Yeah.
Before him was absolutely amazing. She used to tell you all sorts, but he was like a clam with constipation.
This is the thing. He's like to hear this individual talk, you'd think he was there for 50 years, but he was only there something like 2.5 years. Weren't he? 2.5 years in that office, but 4 years in the department.
I think he managed to get his glasses changed once in that time. I think that's what it was.
I don't even think he needed to change his ink bottle or anything like that, did he? He didn't need to change the ink in his printer. He weren't there long enough.
No, not at all.
So he's an interesting one. I'll put this out there to all you lot that are in chat as well. I bet if this had been about ghosts, hauntings and spirits, you'd have been right in that basement waiting to come up on the screen, you lot.
Yeah, and I've bored everyone senseless, so I apologise.
Cool, in that case, a member of the Men in Black and I'm Really a Mermaid in Disguise. Louise, you can wear that badge with honour and nobody can tell you any different. Especially if you claim to be doing it in theory. So that's where we'll go with that. So is there any more questions in the chat? Does anybody want to come up and chat to us? If not, we'll bring it to a close. We've been going for 1 3/4 hours. And Steve, this is an impromptu appearance by Steve.
No, I'm sorry, I've got absolutely nothing prepared, so it's all out of my head, which isn't very good, I'm afraid.
He's sort of like a wing it kind of thing. Any more questions in the chat? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I agree with that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, she's a good girl, Louise. Good girl. And please make sure that you've all subscribed to one another. I've sort of been keeping a little bit of an eye on the chat. It seems like you've all subscribed to one another and shown the love, so I'm happy about that. Make sure you do sub. Just do it. Sub it, share it, go to one another's channels, comment. You subscribe to too many, you'll never be on air yourself. But if you subscribe to as many of the channels as you possibly can, do it. Hoorah! Yeah, do it. Thank you, Louise, and thank you to the mods as well that have been in chat, by the way. I will ask this for any mods that might be remaining in the chat. Please feel free to be as harsh as you like when it comes to modding the chat. Lots of cover. If you see anything that looks untowards, smash it without any hesitation. Smash it. Don't want any rubbish on this channel, so make sure you do it, please. I would appreciate that. Be ruthless, and we'll deal with the consequences later.
I used to have a member of my a pre-team. One of them was tough and ruthless. The other guy, he was just rough and toothless.
What would you rather be, tough and ruthless or rough and toothless? And this one is for you, Rev. Not sponsored. I agree, stranger. Okay, cool. So there you go. That's pretty much the modding side of it. I will start to sort of looking at. Hello, Michael. Thank you. Hello, Michael. I appreciate you. Yes, Mike. We sort of see Michael as like a little bit of a moth. You know, sometimes he drifts away and sometimes he comes back towards the light. He flitters and fritters his way in
something like a young Jedi.
Yes. I agree with that, Louise. But like I say, I stick to that comment, and that's for this stream and every single stream. You know, please feel free to just absolutely smash it. And any kind of rubbish that you don't agree with, and we'll worry about it. Like, just absolutely hammer it.
I'm surprised that I've been left on then.
Anti-aircraft fire. Take it out of the sky before it even makes an impact. Smash it. We're all doing okay here. Thanks, Michael. Well, you was here earlier on, so you'll have a little bit of an idea about what we were talking about before. So again, I will. Yeah, like a moth to the flame, Louise. So poetic, and it's yeah, man. That's how it's got to be. It is about good vibes, because I've seen a couple of people put that, and that is that is true in it. It's got to be about good vibes, or it becomes pointless. This, doesn't it?
I would say so. It's got to be entertaining. It's got to be good, and most of all, it's got to be fun as well.
Now, Steve, I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to say what it is yet, by the way. But the next time Steve and Nudge are on the show, I'll call it the panel because it makes it sound more important than it really is. But the next time Steve and Nudge are on the panel,
University challenge enacted.
Yeah, the next time Steve and Nudge are on the panel, we've got a bit of a well, not a strange one, because they're all going to be strange, that by very definition, but a little bit of a different one. And I didn't release exactly what we were going to do in advance on the last chat, on the last main podcast by me, Steve and Nudge, partially because we only realized what we were going to do at the last minute. As you can probably tell when you watch that episode, and also just for the sake of, you know, a little bit of a fun, a little bit of the surprise element. But I'm sort of toying with the idea. Steve has come up with the idea for the next one, so if it's rubbish, blame him. Sure, you're going to like the next one, everybody. It's going to be interesting, and a few of you will have heard of it, and it is very thought provoking. But I'm thinking about maybe doing a list of 3 and putting it out to the people that follow the channel and seeing which one out of the three. People want to win. Now, bear in mind, if you say, you know, A, B, or C, and you go for B, then that just means that week we're going to do B. It doesn't mean that you're not going to cop for A and C the following week. So you're still going to get to see the other proposed content, or rather hear it, but maybe not in the order we would normally. Oh, thank you.
You've just got to remember that 3 is the magic number. Simple
It's
as.
the magic number. 3 the 3. Is it always strange when you three are together? Yeah.
You ain't heard nothing yet.
I haven't heard nothing yet. There's actually is it worth releasing the plan about the madness hours?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, well, we're going to. There's also going to be one or two sort of like. There's going to be one or two straight when me and Stephen Nodge start chatting, and I don't mean on the stream, but when me Stephen Nodge start to chat, generally speaking. And people who've watched the last few streams when we've all been together have got a little bit of an idea about the dynamics of each of us and our roles within the streams when we do them. Because we all have different viewpoints and different standpoints and attitudes and characters regarding certain things, then just talking in general can be fairly, if I can say it, which sounds a little bit like messianic and a little bit, you know, self-obsessed, it can be pretty funny, pretty entertaining, and without being topical. So we're sort of thinking of doing, you know, a couple of streams, or seeing how it goes, but certainly more than one, where we're just going to be absolutely off our nut. And
if we can laugh for 5 minutes over Tycho Brahe's nose, there's something going on there.
I know, yeah. The magnetic handkerchief, the mankerchief. the goddamn mankerchief. And just doing a stream about absolute complete stupidity, just for the sake of it, because of our characters in real life. Now, again, that was pretty, actually, I found that one pretty funny, that actually. Bug's Life, yeah. Links will be dropped into the chat even when we do them, if you're brave enough to to join in, all that kind of madness. But we'll see how that goes.
Well, what we could do after a couple of them is just say, drop us a topic and we could rip it apart.
Yeah. Thanks, Louis. Yeah. Everybody deal with Louise. I can't handle it. Ditch the responsibility there. Thank you, Louise. In it, pass the buck, as it were, pass the blame. Pass the blame. That's the thing. But we'll see how that goes. And I know with Stranger Times saying that before. I hope you still. Yeah, you are. I've just seen you put a comment there, so I know you're still sort of like still around. About being nervous, don't worry about that. If you come up onto the screen, you'll be forced into talking because we just won't leave you alone.
Well, certainly make sure of that.
So you'll be, yes. Oh, I know that. I know that, Louise. I truly do know that. I'm going to put this up because Michael has, and I think it's only fair. Wait for me, Mike. What about Area 51? A bit of a ambiguous statement and fairly sweeping. But I'll also put this up.
Yeah, it is very real, but most of the stuff that went on there is no longer there. It's been shifted off to other places.
Yeah, back in the day, a lot of the Secrets of the Black World kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been going on so many times, hasn't it? That's a massively reported thing.
I remember I was going to go on holiday and go over there and have a look at the place, and so much so that I was so serious about it that I actually enrolled in camouflage school. But when I got there, I couldn't find anyone and went home.
Oh yeah. In terms of 5 minutes after that, you'll be fine. That is true. That is true. Hello. How are you doing, Nicole? I hope you. Hi. Thank you for dropping by. I appreciate that. It's nice of you to come. I'm surprised you're very, very busy usually. Yeah, but then again, you probably knew it was lurking on your stream as well, wasn't it, last night? Lurking around. Yeah, again, so again to the people from the UK that are watching the stream, please subscribe. Well, Lou's already on it. Doesn't matter. Louise has covered it again. Told you. Absolutely white hot. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Please subscribe. Please subscribe to Through the Veil Paranormal and Paranormal Underworld. If I know Rev's Rev's a mod and she'll be able to drop it if she wishes to. If not, no problem. But yeah, that was a good one last night. Very interesting. Couple of things coming through that I enjoyed. But people, subscribe to Through the Veil Paranormal, please. You'll find very much fun. Thanks, Louise. She's all over it. I tell you what, if I could come up with a Dorias Lives medal, you'd be issued with it, girl. I tell you that. Hello, Andy. Thanks for dropping by right at the end of the stream as usual. He's turned up just in time to say bye, which is why we love him. Oh, thank you. Good. Thanks, Stranger Times. You're a good man or woman. Well, you're good, whatever it is you are. You're a good Stranger Times is what you are. Put that up there. I agree with that. Subscribe. Sub. Thanks for coming, Andy. Of course, you know I'm joking. Thank you. Appreciate you calling in. Absolutely no problem. That excellent channel to subscribe to, though, people. I'm being serious. Through the Veil Paranormal. You'll find it very, very interesting. And if you can drop Jax's, yeah, no, yeah, there you go. It's true. He always turns up as we. I figured you were actually Stranger Times. I had the feeling you were a dude. You sort of came across in that manner. No problem at all. But you do seem to be massively interested in the ufology side of it. So, please. Don't be shy. Don't be staying in the chat. And again, yeah, I am joking. Yeah, of course you do. You know that. If I drop the link, anybody can come up. It's a free for all. It's an internet free for all. And tonight, Andy, we'll be talking about a personal experience, obviously called Strange Tales of myself with a spotting a UFO in the late 80s, and then since then a case that me and Steve were involved in. Okay, Jax, is he really? Keeping him busy then. Sorry about that. A case that me and Steve were involved in for a team called APRI, the Aerial Phenomena Research and Information Exchange, of which he was the boss and I just made tea. You know it. I made the tea and I made the tea and handed out the biscuits. Being a manly man is doing man jobs. Okay, so yes, I take it I'm right. Mainly, ufology is your sort of ilk. Yeah, I should. Yeah, no problem at all, Stranger Times. Don't worry about that. Just to say, and to anybody who's out there, if the link's dropped in the chat, then it's an invitation to come up. And like I've said to the mods or whoever's out there, if there's any silliness, it just gets absolutely smashed by anti-aircraft fire. So that's all good. Okay, any questions in the chat, please? If there was any questions in the chat for myself or Steve, it's probably better off going to Steve. It makes more sense than I do.
Very much doubt that as well.
And then send it across to Steve. He'll be able to answer it. I'll just waffle. But if you can do that, we're nearly at 2 hours. He will watch the juicy bits on YouTube. Yeah, well, thanks for that. I wish there were some juicy bits for you to see. Here we go. Yeah, I'll get that up on there for you, Rev. Just got my merch in the mail. Critter merch. There you go. That's what you want. Yeah, Nicole, seriously. Yes, that was my duty, was dishing out the biscuits.
I've got many report here that says no, it wasn't.
Yeah, Steve took all the glory because he was clever and I dished out the biscuits.
Oh God.
Ancient alien theory and megalithic structures, out of place artifacts, and etc. Okay, well, that sounds massively interesting. And
we should do in the future that.
Yeah, and in fact, indeed, have him up here.
Yeah, definitely.
Because of that. Yes, should we do that one, Steve?
Yeah, definitely. I'd go for that.
Then we shall do that, and then that's all the more reason for you to come up here, Stranger Time. So you might have make a rod for your own back there. We'll see about
that. Your own emu, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah, we'll see. You might have made a rod for your own emu. we'll see about that one. Might be lost a little bit on our.
It certainly will be, but I thought I'd say it anyway.
Yeah. Oh yes, man. Super excited. Merch. Yeah. I'm going to go for the merch that I was talking about on your stream, Rev, regarding the Dorias Lives avatar on bra cups. See how that goes down with rotating tassels.
Keep you cool in the summer.
They tended to mainly be custard creams, Andy, because one of us could get them in bulk. and we were too tight-fisted to buy anything else.
That's when it was unfair on the gingers.
Yeah, you can't discriminate against gingers. Our place artifacts are very interesting. Well, I agree with that absolutely. And technology artifacts, things like that, ancient tissues. I do like all that kind of thing. And Steve's just agreed to do that. We'll sort of elbow nudge into doing it as well. Sorry, nudge. We'll nudge into doing it as well. We'll nudge into make sure he does it as well. And then Stranger Times, the link will be dropped. So again, I'm going to drop the link into the chat one last time. And if somebody wants to come up and chat to us, they can for 10 minutes. Otherwise, we're going to scoot fairly soon because Steve needs to get on with his life and I need to stop talking.
I just need some kip.
Busy day today as a healthcare professional.
Oh, it's ridiculous, mate. Ridiculous. Oh, I'm getting too old for this.
He's getting too old for this and I'm getting too old for that. So between us, we can't handle this and that. So
God.
read into that what you will. I'm trying to catch it. You see the actual chat on YouTube so much more up to date than the one where what's this? I'm going to put that up for you, Nicole.
Don't believe it. Believe that I do need it.
Here we go. There you go, people. Another reason, by the way, for UK channels to go and pay attention to Nicole and Shannon and Boots and people like that who was on before. Sorry, Rev. Keep using your name. Sorry, Rev. The channels from earlier. The merch giveaway, and I think for the most part, I might be speaking out of turn here. I'm sure we'll hear about it if I'm wrong. We'll do posted, maybe. I think so. So I have merch in the appreciation giveaway coming in September. That's excellent. That one. That's excellent. Okay, so Stranger Times is agreeing with Jimmy. No problem at all. Thank you very much for dropping by. At least you was I did comment in your stream, didn't I? I wasn't actually lurking per se. Although I might have hung around a little bit longer before I said something. But yeah, great stream last night, by the way. I really enjoyed that. No, I don't think it's about darkness. It is exciting and good fun, isn't it, to be able to do things. I mean, with being a musician and being doing the band thing, I can appreciate getting a buzz out of picking up a hoodie or a t-shirt and it's got who you are or what you are emblazoned on the front or the back of it. It's a big kick. It is a good thing. Okay, so
I'm happy.
Yeah, there you go. I think a Dorias Lives beanie hat, but made out of beans.
Dorias Lives underpants.
Dorias Lives underpants, yeah. With my face in the gusset. For a change. Hi there, Bootsy. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're doing okay there. What was I going to say? Yep, the link's down there, people. I am going to scoot very soon if nobody sort of jumps in. By the way, if anybody's doing a stream tonight, that's already in the chat, or anybody's doing a stream in the next day or two that they would like to let people know about, please do that. Let people know that you're streaming, and when you're going live, stick it in the chat so people can jump onto your channel and give you a like. Oh, I can't believe she just put that. I can't believe you just.
Next, it'll be a Dorias lives thong.
I know. I hope that's somebody with a lisp talking about music. I'm going to sing a thong.
Yeah.
Good. I'm always going to ask Boots. We're always interested in how you're doing. But there is an element of, you see, I think every time, she's a really good mod, but she's all over me like white on rice. But that one is true. I do have incredible Hulk socks. And there was an incident regarding a physiotherapist and me turning up to the physios wearing Hulk socks, which meant I didn't get the level of care that I deserved because the physiotherapist was too busy looking at my incredible Hulk socks and judging me on them. I was being judged.
Not good for a therapist.
That wouldn't make you wouldn't get much merchandise emblazoned on the front of one of them. I wouldn't have thought.
Air on a G-string.
So you've sort of been pre-warned. Steve's come up with an idea for. Well, we've got a few ideas to be fair, but Steve's chosen the one for the next time him and Nodge do a stream. And the silliness is, I know that. We're going to do a silly stream. A fun stream, I'll say, not a silly stream. It's just going to be a fun stream. To come away from, we might talk about the paranormal, but probably not. It's just going to be stupidness. Don't I know it as well, Louise? It's going to be. Oh, hello, Mark. You've been quiet for a little while. I thought we'd lost you due to alien abduction. I thought you've been taken by the Greys. That does sound painful. He's been grabbed by the Greys. I'll put that. Okay, so good to see everybody on. It's good for you to be here. It's good that you're here. More importantly, it's good that you're here. That's more important, Nicole. So, yes, Steve knows. I don't. The answer to that. Any idea when you guys are going to be on? So
I'm away next week. So technically, it's going to be. Let me just check my dates again.
Okay.
The 4th.
Oop. The 4th. So September the 4th. Yeah. So the 4th. It's going to be the 4th. So September the 4th. Myself, Nodge, and Steve will be doing the type of cast that we've been doing about particular thing that we're not going to tell you about in case you think it's rubbish and don't tune in. If we don't tell you about it, you start to watch the stream and we've captured you at least for a couple of seconds, and that's all we're bothered about. Only joking.
I'll give them a hint. It's all about nuns on pogo sticks. So if that sort of garners your interest, well, there you go.
There you go. Nuns on pogo sticks. One of them is going to be called Sister Philomena. I've had this discussion before. Well, that sister's probably filling all sorts of stuff. That's very kind of you, that Stranger Times. Yes. Yeah. I will do that. I was aware that one or two people weren't happy about the fact I didn't let any information slip.
I was trying to be good. I was saying to Dave and saying, "Right, do you want me to tell everyone what's going on?" You went, "No."
The thing is, right? Is I wasn't joking when I said we weren't 100% totally sure what we were going to do anyway. So it was a sort of an impromptu. I mean, Steve does the graphics and that, so we knew that we would be covering that particular one at some stage, but
we sort of drew it out right across the board with everything, didn't we? Which we could encompass. That was it. We didn't stick to just the one subject.
No, No, that's absolutely true. Doing live Spirit Box session on Monday around 9 or 10 p.m. So everybody make sure you tune in at 11 so you miss it. I'm joking, Michael. I'm joking. Of course, I'm only messing around. So Mike's doing a Spirit Box session on Monday at 9 or 10 p.m. That'll be cool. Excellent, Nicole. That'll be fantastic. There's no reason why you shouldn't be up on air at one stage, as far as I'm concerned, and even Jack, should he wish to.
I was going to do a fortune telling session, but I've had to stop it due to unforeseen circumstances. Sorry.
That is the most dad joke type thing you could ever say on a paranormal stream. That is
Don't believe myth is worse.
Yeah, brilliant. What's this? Yeah, try to. Oh, gee, Nuns on a Space Opera is just as bad. Oh, I'm having this one.
A roaming cat. Oh,
Nicole, you have just won Best Dad Joke Award.
It's like a roaming cat. Somebody who roams the streets and draws the dole.
of this particular stream. But yes, so we'll be here on the 4th as the three of us. Next Friday I'll do another Strange Tales, I suppose. Obviously, there's lots of different things I can go through. Hello, John. There's lots of different things that I can go through. So I will do a Strange Tales next Friday. And then the following Friday, which I believe it will fall upon, will be me, Nodge, and Steve talking about this particular subject and topic which Steve has chosen, which will be a good one. It'll be a good one. And the silliness, or rather the random streams will be starting to come fairly soon. But you jump in, yeah. Jump into the stream when I drop the link. It's about jumping in the stream to make it work. We could have
like dare you part of it where we say, do you wish to join in with the three?
Yeah, there you go. We can sort of like put it out as a dare. So anybody who happens to be in the chat when we're doing the stream, if you dare to do it,
it should be fun. Whichever way you look at it, it should be fun anyway.
Yeah, it should be fun. So bear in mind that we will be doing that, and links will be getting dropped for that. So on the nights when we do it,
the contentious little like last week when we were looking through, the pictures, just drop a couple of them in.
You see, talk about now this is it. Now going off the way that I know the people that have been in the chat, or a big chunk of the people that are in the chat, that would be the kind of thing that they would absolutely love. They'd be able to bounce off. That'd be great. That'd make a great stream.
Boom shakalaka, we'll be in on that one. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that'll make a great stream. And I'm sure people will be able to interact with that one. But it will be about that. It'll get dropped and then get back up. The links will get dropped, and then everybody jump on the link and get up here. I've got a few. I'm allowed. I forget how many I'm allowed in any one time. It might be about 10. Yeah, I think I might be allowed 10 people in or something like that.
Mic night.
Say it again. Sorry.
Be like open mic night.
Yes. There you go. Should people be up for that? We'll do a bit of a karaoke kind of thing if you like. I mean, or an a cappella, or is that a type of ice cream?
Can't stick that karaoke. All their albums have got no singing on it. It's just instrumental.
Did you hear that? Hey, did you hear that? That's the kind of material you're looking at, people. So strap yourselves in. He doesn't get much better than that, so don't expect too much, will you?
On my Facebook page, what did the drummer call his two twin daughters? And the one, and the two.
And a one, and a two. You can't knock that. Yeah, good. Thank you, Rev. I appreciate you doing that. Okay, is there any kind of questions or anything else anybody wants to say? Oh, I like that, actually. Sorry about that every time. Yes. Okay, John, I'm not sure what good news you can have for me, but I'll entertain what you've got to say. Capella, yeah.
Wasn't he a Doctor Who?
I'm not sure. There we go. Not sponsored. Yeah, a cappella. But In fact, you see, the whole idea of it is that with people coming in and jumping into the stream and all that, like, sort of like feed it, so it'll be driven by what people say as a group kind of thing. So that's
the epitome of like a giant meme at the end of the day.
Yeah. There you go. Steve's referring to the fact that we went through it after the last stream. Me, him, and Nudge were doing. Steve was putting up memes, on the screen share thing that you all know and love that you've seen me doing tonight and what have you. And we were just absolutely ripping these memes for the sake of fun, really. And we got more material out of ripping these memes than we did out of the stream that we done. And it was like, hang on a minute, we're in the wrong job here. This is the type of stuff people want to hear. He's like, this is the type of stuff people want to hear. They don't want to hear us prattling on about all this crap. You know what I mean? They're not interested. They're not interested in that. But yeah, getting people involved, getting people up on the screen is going to be the good thing. The channel is primarily about the paranormal and ufology and conspiracy theories and all that kind of thing, but you got to have some fun in there too.
It would be nice for a big Christmas knees up type thing, I'm telling you.
Hang on a minute. Who is the ghost, Thomas? It keeps popping up on my spirit box. There is no way I can answer that. Personally, I don't claim to have any kind of mediumship qualities. I understand about spirituality because of research, and I understand about the paranormal because of investigation and again research and experimentation. There might be people in the chat, however, that have a level of mediumship or a different level of spirituality that might be able to give you an answer there, but personally, I cannot. I need to get a mic would be so much easier than typing good night. I think that means that by the time he makes it into the chat, it's nearly the end of the night. I think that's what Andy's referring to. If it's paranormal karaoke, start with Ghostbusters.
God.
I think we could manage that.
Probably. I've got a karaoke track somewhere from my DJing days.
You see, Andy, you would be a perfect victim. Sorry, you would be. No, I don't think he's saying good night, by the way, everybody. I think he's referring to the fact that he always turns up at the last minute. But we'll all say good night to him in advance, Andy, so you don't have to say it later. You don't have to type it. Yeah. But you would be ideal for the type of stream that I'm on about, for the type of thing that I'm on about. Really, is the madness kind of thing. But I can think of a few other people in the chat that'd be good at that as well. So maybe all the more reason to get as many as possible. Just seeing that. Yeah, thanks, Shan. Love you too. You're a good girl. Appreciate you stopping by and sticking in as well. Let's just catch up with the comments. Everybody's saying bye to him now.
Bit like Snake Plissken, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. It's brilliant. Everybody's saying bye. Bye, poor fella's not going anywhere. Okay, 1 minute, Naz. Let me get. I don't know if she's still around, but Nicole. I hear that name on everybody's videos. I hope it's not Tom. Is this a reoccurring name that you keep getting? I assume you're referring to a reoccurring name that you're getting on Spirit Box sessions. Or am I completely misreading what you're trying to say? Okay. Thanks, Nicole. Okay, so you were saying that it is a reoccurring name, but all you get is the name and then no further communication when conducting a spirit box session. Am I understanding what you're saying, right? Am I understanding you right now, there? If you, I'm still waiting for it to come back in because with Nicole coming back in, just walk back in, probably checking on Jax. This is a reoccurring name. Is it just coming through on? Yeah, so it's just coming through on the spirit box. Are you hearing it as a disembodied voice? Yes. Okay. So are you hearing it as a disembodied voice as well? Is it coming up on TV? Are you just hearing it all over the place? Or and I'm getting longer dead air, as it were, here now. Let me have a look. Okay, well, a reoccurring name. Well, I'll put it back up for you, Nicole. I just need to go back a little bit. Where are you? Okay, that's the question there. Who is the ghost, Thomas? It keeps popping up on my spirit box. And my response to that was, I can't possibly tell you that because I can't. If it's a reoccurring name, then Nicole might be able to offer you some advice. I mean, my question would be, how often are you doing spirit box sessions? That will be indicative of how often you're hearing it, is the reason I ask. And you see that Louisa just asked a good question there. You see, is it just spirit box sessions you are doing, or ones that you're watching online? Are you hearing it in other places? And you got to bear in mind, we have to sort of like catch up with the chat. You guys are well ahead of us there. By the way, Naz, if you haven't already subscribed, will you subscribe to Through the Veil Paranormal, and anybody else in the chat here, please? Obviously, that will help you grow yours. I will await the. Here we go. Okay, do you want to come up and then say what you've got to say? Is that where we're going with this? Right, I've just seen you in the chat there. Okay, so if you just bear with us a sec, everybody, we'll just find out what Naz has got to say about this spirit box session, because maybe you can put it better across in words than typing it. Okay, there's a response there, so I'll bring you up, Naz, and then there's a response for you from Nicole. Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm all right. Just came back from a session with a woman.
You might want to rephrase that. It sounds dodgy. You've just come back from a session with a woman.
Yeah, not that type, not that type. Was investigation in a woman's house.
Yeah, that he's just come back from a session with a woman. Okay, everybody, this is Naz, by the way, from South Africa.
Hi, Naz.
How's it?
Yeah, we're doing good. Okay, so Nicole said, if there's a reoccurring name, ask a question using the name, like how old are you, Thomas? If you get a response, you know a spirit is trying to tell you the name. So when you say all it's done is giving you all you've heard is the name, you've been given the name and then nothing else. Have you tried to prompt it?
I've tried to prompt it. I've tried to anger it, that I know you're not supposed to do, but just to get a response out of it more than just its name. But what happens is normally when I run a spirit box and I ask listener, what's your name? Then Thomas comes through. Then I ask Thomas, are you following me, or what's going on? Because you in all my spirit boxes or in my videos, or he whispers his name in my ear, and then he's gone. Then I don't get any further response out of him.
Right, okay. Nicole's also just said, I have one that says Tom, and I know he's Tom by now. And I ask, how are you, Tom? And he says, ball. So if you say, for instance, if you've done you've tried to get a response and he's just telling you his name, but you've had a response back, and it might not be the type of response that you expect because it's nonsensical. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, I understand what you're saying there.
And it hasn't happened.
No, not at all. Not at all. I've even asked him no to touch me. I've gave him permission to touch me if it's Tom, no Tom or Thomas. But I'm afraid that it's maybe that bad entity Tom.
Okay, one sec. Yeah, there's a couple of, so I'll put these up. So are they always in the same location? And it says, do you get the name at different locations? So is no matter where you do a spirit box session, are you getting that name coming through?
No matter where I do it, I get that name coming through. It's like tonight as well, when I helped the woman with her passed away son that's haunting her house now. The name Thomas came through again.
Right. Now, that it's unlikely that every single place you go, there's a spirit called Thomas in that location. So are you thinking it's attached to you?
I'm starting to begin thinking that it's attached to me, but I can I highly doubt it, because spirits can't get easily attached to me. Now, if the guys on my YouTube channel, they will see the history about me and what happened with me and a bad witch. So spirits getting attached to me, it's not that easy. But if he's attached to me, he's quite a powerful spirit, I can tell you that.
Okay, what makes you say that?
Many years ago, when I was still at school, delved into dark magic, if you can put it like that, and I angered a witch, and I didn't know this woman was a witch, and I angered her so much that she actually, I don't know how to put it lightly, but I would say, I don't know if everybody knows the history about the Dybbuk box, and she actually did a spell on me that I was a living Dybbuk box. So she actually locked something inside of me. I don't know what she locked inside of me. I can't find the name or anything. I went to spiritual healers and they said, yeah, something is locked inside of me. So, and I know it's something powerful, because for years after she locked the thing inside of me, I had nightmares and dreams about this thing and what it wants to do. And I've tried to get rid of it. As soon as somebody tries to get rid of this thing, it actually tries to kill me. So I've learned to live with it. That's why I say something getting attached to me that's stronger than whatever is locked inside of me is highly unlikely.
Yeah, and in answer to your question before, this stream is probably full of people that are only too aware of the what people allegedly call a Dybbuk box. Yeah. And what's this? So some form of attachment, people are saying, occurs maybe. She said, Nicole said, try simple tone. If maybe a child, if you're talking harshly, you might be scaring them.
Yeah, and I've also started to think, it's a child spirit maybe that's following my wife around, because she's normally my holding the cameras and that, at the background. So I also thought, okay, maybe it's a child attached to my wife, because she's a mother figure as well. And I've tried to talk nicely, softly, inviting it, and nothing, absolutely nothing. I don't get any further response than just a name. And it's starting to bother me, because why? Do I get it on Spirit Box, on videos, and get the whisper in my ear? But the other day, I watched the other guy on YouTube, and while he was live streaming, I also watched his live stream, and he was doing a Spirit Box session, and the name Thomas came through again, like 3 or 4 times on his live stream. I thought to myself, it could be a coincidence, but I highly doubt it.
Okay, in the English language, there's only a list of 44 phonemes that form the building blocks of speech, and them particular phonemes can come through a lot on Spirit Box. I mean, I don't know what type of Spirit Box is it that you're using?
I've used a homemade one. I've used a normal SB Spirit Box. I've used the Necrophonic app. Even the Afterlight box, I've used that one as well. It comes through on all of them, all my electronic devices. It comes through. It even came through the one time on my night vision camera. I only use that camera on special occasions when the haunted or abandoned building doesn't have power. Then I use the night vision camera for that to go dark, and it even comes through on that camera.
Okay, regarding what Naz is saying here, is there any questions in the stream that anybody would like to put forward? Bear with me, Naz.
No problem.
Is there any questions anybody would like to put forward in the chat regarding it? I will take it as a no. Okay.
Yeah, I like what the one guy said. Dark night detective session with woman touched by ghost. Yeah, that might not be a very good session for any man.
Okay. Have you tried non-electrical equipment such as pendulum and Ouija board? And have you tried anything like that? Any form of communication?
The Ouija board, I've tried the one time to see if Thomas, the name Thomas doesn't want to come through. But funny enough, on the Ouija board is the only communication device that does not come through.
So when you've tried a spirit board session, Ouija board session, you're not hearing the name Tom?
Yeah, when I tried the Ouija board session, the name Thomas doesn't come through. But all the other, only electronic devices, that's what's puzzling me. Why only electronic devices and not other spiritual communications?
Okay. My question would be this. When you are doing these spirit box sessions and the name Tom's coming forward, when you conducting these spirit box sessions at home, this is because you have activity in your home. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, look, I got one specific room in my house that I adopted a haunted room. The house that I'm living in, a woman passed away in this house, in this very room that I made my haunted room. And all the haunted objects that people send me or that they give to me when I go do sessions at their homes or whatever, I put in this room and has been locked up in this room. So a lot of my videos, comes from this room. Because a lot of the people, if I go investigation in their houses, they don't want it live or they don't want it to be streamed. They want to keep it anonymous.
Okay, understood. Andy said the obvious question is, do you know of a Thomas in you or your wife's family that might have passed on?
I've did research about that. Nobody in my family has the name Thomas that passed away, and nobody in her family has the name Thomas that passed away. I did research on the previous owners of this house. The woman that passed away before we moved in here, she was Elizabeth. She comes through on the spirit boxes a lot, but obviously she passed away in the house alone. She didn't have any relatives or anybody else that could bury her. She had she didn't actually have a proper burial. And that's what's bothering her now the whole time in this room. She's a lot in her room, and I see her a lot on the cameras as well. But even on her side, nobody in her family side had the name Thomas.
Okay. No problem at all, Stranger Times. Thanks for dropping by. See you next week, hopefully, or when me, Nodge, and Steve do the proper podcast. So hopefully see you then. I call it a podcast. It makes it sound better than it is. But thanks for stopping by, Stranger Times. Massively appreciated. I'll just highlight this. Thomas is a common name that could come through on the radio waves.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's a strong possibility.
Is there anything else that's going on that might make you think that the name Thomas is associated with anything that might be negative?
No, I've thought about that. Know that it might be a negative entity that follows around, or a negative entity that's based in places where I do investigations. But a lot of the places that I went to, not a lot of negative entities were there, and then the name Thomas comes through. But the one friend of mine actually brought up a good question. He says maybe the spirit that was locked inside of me, maybe his name is Thomas, that he's communicating. But if it was locked up as a Dibik, how can it communicate?
Okay. Andy said, I'll just highlight this. Do any of the spirits communicate with you? So do any other spirits communicate with you? Or is it just this Thomas?
No, a lot of spirits communicate with me. I get a lot of communication everywhere. I mean, sometimes at night when I sleep, I wake up with somebody whispering in my ear, or looking for my attention, or tugging on my clothes or something, looking for attention. So no, I get, that's also Annie Jackson has got a good answer there. Could I ask about the other spirits about Thomas? And I have done that before. And they also have no replies on that Thomas name.
Okay, so Louisa said, I think you might need to look into non-electrical ways of communicating and see what happens before thinking anything negative. Have you tried anything else? Say, for instance, I don't know, runes, cards, dowsing rods, any type of other ITC, for instance, that might involve water or smoke. Have you used any other techniques to try and get responses?
No, I have. I've nearly used any. I've used the dells. When the name Thomas comes through, I use my dells and ask him, can you maybe move the dells to where you are standing, so that if you're in the room with us, or I've used the smoke. Now I've even tried cleansing out a room where I heard the name Thomas, and thought, okay, no, maybe it is a bad entity. So I cleansed out the room and I did a spirit box session again, and the name Thomas came through again. So I know for sure it can't be a negative entity.
So you don't think Thomas is a negative entity?
No, I can't think that it's a negative entity, because he's not done anything bad over the years. And I've heard that name millions of times.
Okay, so that being said, when you've done cleansing, I take it you mean you've done a smudging with sage, and is that what you're talking about? You've used sage?
Yeah, I use sage. I strongly believe in sage. It's always worked all the years for me. And now this crystal that came in the post the other day, it works just as good. Okay,
then that's good. I suppose if you don't think that Thomas is a negative energy, or you don't feel that the name that's coming through is representative of a bad energy or a malevolent energy, what is your concerns? What are you just asking why it comes through? Because as Louise has pointed out there, it could be possible that this Thomas could be a spirit guide wanting to contact you, and that they're trying to make contact with you for reasons that are actually quite benign and maybe even productive.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If any other way I can try to communicate with this Thomas bloke, or Thomas is obviously a man's name, to communicate with this Thomas spirit, to why does he try to communicate with me, and why only his name, and when I try to communicate further with him, he disappears. Is something blocking him to communicate further with me? Is he struggling? What's cooking? Because it bothers me every time I hear his name coming through on the spirit box. It actually distracts me from what I'm actually trying to do, and I try to think to myself, who is it? What's going on? Why is he trying to communicate with me? Things like that. A guy gets full of questions.
Dave,
yes, mate.
There one sec. I'm going to have to nip off, I'm afraid, mate. So sorry to hit and run, but I'm going
no problem.
I shall speak to you tomorrow, and like I say, sorry to interrupt this, but I have to go.
Yeah, no problem at all, Steve. Thanks for dropping by. I'm going to be closing it in a minute anyway. And everybody thanks Steve for dropping in at the end of the street. Well, no, you didn't. He wasn't at the end. You were right at the beginning. What am I saying? Thanks, Steve. Anyway, it's appreciated.
No problem. Thank you for having me on, and thanks everyone for putting up with me. You take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Good night. God bless all of you. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, so I sort of think you know, the questions about how susceptible you are, or how in tune you are with your own spirituality. If this Thomas is trying to contact you, or if this which you're putting across as being a benign spirit energy is trying to contact you for whatever reason, is how open you are to interpretation of that level of contact.
No, look, I'm quite in tune with that. I can, just to give an example, I can walk into a restaurant and there would be millions of people speaking. Nobody would hear anything. And then I would hear a certain voice and I'd tell my wife, you know, listen, there's a lost spirit in this in this place. I can hear him. And then she would look around, try to figure out, you know, how can I see him? Where can I see him? And at night when we go back, when a restaurant is closed, and I go back and I start communicating, I said, you know, there it is. There it came through. So
Okay,
I'm
but
quite in tune to with my spirits.
okay, but that being said, you said you're struggling with a spirit called Tom, though. So what makes you think that you when you can pick up on spirit energy, or you can pick up on a voice speaking to you in a mass crowd, that this one voice which is coming through in a spirit box, you don't understand where that's coming from? That's I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's what's puzzling me as well, because as soon as he comes through, it's not like you can sense, you know, okay, oh, yes, that same spirit, that same presence in the room, and then the name Tom comes through. That's what's bothering me, is I can't sense that. No, I can't say, for example, no, listen, yeah, no, that spirit that calls himself Tom is in the room because there's another spirit, John, has the exact same feeling that he is everywhere. That's what's bothering me. That's what I'm asking. Could it be that he's being blocked, that he is trying to communicate with me, and that is being stopped, that he can only get sometimes his name through? Or that's why I'm puzzled. It's bothering me.
As Louisa said there, this Thomas may not have the energy to get anything further through. Perhaps supplying him with more energy would be helpful.
Oh, that's a possibility. I haven't tried that before.
And seeing if you can get a higher level of communication doing that. Whether you choose the location that you choose to do it, and maybe being beside water, if you believe that water can be help produce energy. Excuse me. If you believe that moonlight can help produce energy, if you want to use EM pumps, or whichever way that you feel you can garner more energy into that environment to help facilitate this contact, then perhaps that's worth giving it a go.
Yeah, that might be a possibility. That might work. That might work. That's actually a very good answer that they gave there. I also got that that's other stone that I received in a post as well. That stone could also help, because tonight it helped a lot.
This is selenite.
No, it's that milky quartz stone that I did recently.
Okay, the milky quartz. Okay, well, possibly that could possibly be it. Andy said, is it somebody looking for a Thomas? It could also possibly be that, I suppose.
True. That could also be. That's somebody looking for Thomas. That could also be true. You see, there's so many questions revolving around it, and it's puzzling, because only a name comes through, and it's a possibility it doesn't have enough energy, that it can only get its name through and nothing else, or somebody that is looking for Thomas.
Understood, Nicole. I understand. What's this? Using water, moonlight, battery packs, candle. Yeah, there is lots of ways to give energy, which is sort of what I was alluding to before. So I think, you know, if you give it a try, maybe try a couple of different techniques to try and maybe get some kind of contact, or at least facilitate some kind of communication, then that would be beneficial. I wouldn't worry. It doesn't sound like you need to be worrying about it. You just sound more inquisitive than anything else, to be fair. If it isn't doing you any harm, then you don't be concerned by it. If anything, the fact that you want to know what's okay, bye-bye. And he's gone. Anyway, there you go. So Steve dropped out. And obviously Naz has gone. So any questions in the chat before I disappear, please? That would be great. I will be speaking. Hello, Northway. Thank you for dropping in. A little bit. We're just about to finish, unfortunately, but thank you for dropping in. You appreciate that. I'm doing good. Everybody else in the chat's doing good. Pretty much come to the end of the stream, but I do appreciate you stopping by. I will talk to the mods later. First chance I get, by the way. Okay, so Naz has had a power drain. Norris. Okay, well, I wouldn't worry about it, Naz. To me, it doesn't sound like it's anything you should be overly concerned about, if I'm quite candid. It just seems you're more inquisitive than concerned, so don't worry about it. So yeah, there you go. So any more questions in the chat? If not, I'm going to call it a night. I'm sure other people are going to be streaming. Some people are going to be, other people are going to be streaming, so I'll be jumping on their streams, or you guys go and watch their streams, see what's going about. But I do thank everybody for dropping in tonight. It's been fantastic. I appreciate everybody that's made a comment, because that drives the conversation and is a big part of what the channel is all about, and a big part of what keeping the conversation going for so long is about as well. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Louise. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Gillian. I saw you before. Strange Times. Nicole, Rev, Boots. I saw the. Of course. How can I forget Mark? There you go, Mark. I'm just scrolling quickly back through the chat. Jane, I saw you early before. Mags, Mike from Paranormal Rich. Beth, of course. Thanks, Beth, for dropping in. Quickly. Try and scroll through all the people. Thanks, Legacy Paranormal. And I think that's it. If I missed you out, it doesn't mean I don't respect or appreciate the fact that you've been here. Hensley, I think I might have seen Hensley before. If I didn't, then thanks, Hensley, anyway, for the sake of it. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you coming in. Anybody else? Yeah, I've got you, Mike, so no problem at all. Okay, so Mark, yeah, I think I've got everybody. I think I've done everybody, as it were, who were misses. Thanks, Steve, for coming up on an impromptu night. He shouldn't really have been here, but he stepped forward into the breach, Let's have a look. I think I've covered everybody. I think that is everybody. No, thank you, Cara. Cara, beg your pardon. Thank you, Cara, for you came in too. Let's have a quick look through the chat. I don't know how far back this thing goes. It doesn't go back as far as I would like. So if I've missed anybody, I apologise. But basically, thank you for dropping by. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you paying any kind of attention for whatever it is. Hello, Raven. Are you okay? Thank you. I appreciate that comment. I'm going to highlight that comment so you can end up. There you go. Thanks, Raven. Thank you for your support on Instagram as well, Raven. By the way, it hasn't gone unnoticed. I am aware that you do follow and you do like, so I appreciate that. A big shout out to you. Yes. And late but always welcome is Squatch. Thank you, darling. I always like it when you drop by. I know that you get busy and you have your own pages to run and you do your own thing, and I appreciate that, Squatch. I think that might be everybody. So there will be something next week. Next Friday, they will. Probably another Strange Tales. In between now and then, something else. I'm not totally decided upon what, but I might do an equipment review, because I've been asked to do equipment review, even though that can be kind of boring. So we apologise for that in advance. And if you like it, fair dues. If you don't like it, don't watch it. That's pretty much where we're at with it. But it's just an excuse to listen to me rant on if you're interested in that. But otherwise, next Friday will be another Strange Tales. The following Friday, which will make it the 4th of September, is going to be one of the proper podcasts, if you like. Shall I call it that? Do you think that's right? Yeah, we'll call it a proper podcast, which is going to be me, Steve, and Nodge, discussing a famous event, a very famous event. So, keep your ears, eyes, toes, knees, and everything peeled for that one. Louise, the little black box. This is going to be a discussion about lots of little black boxes if I do an equipment review, due to the sheer amount of equipment I've collected that really just has cost lots of money for no real reason, quite frankly. But there you go. So thank you everybody for joining. Appreciate that. If there is any kind of links or anything you wish to do right now, Louise, thank you for doing that. Do it if it's necessary. If it ain't, don't. So thanks everybody. I truly appreciate you dropping by. Stay safe, right? Stay kind to one another. Keep banging the rocks together. And don't let the sound of your own wheels turning drive you crazy. Okay? Much love, and I hope to speak to you all soon. Okay? Stay safe, and bye-bye.